How we doing? I think we're live. Possibly, potentially. I believe so. It takes a second, but I believe we're good to go. I will check. Hopefully you are well. If you're watching live or on the replay here, I hope you're having a great Thursday. Hope your week's going fantastic. I'm paranoid because last week I kind of messed some settings up, but I think we're good. So cool. Let me know if you can hear me and see me and all that jazz. But I'm going to say some things today that are going to piss a lot of people off, probably. So, that's pretty much par for the course in a lot of ways. But I really want to, I've been thinking about some of this stuff here for several months now, in a lot of different ways, and I've been using AI heavily, as people know. AIOS. I did not come up with that name or uh, that acronym, but it's fundamentally changed the way that I work. Last week on the live stream, I've been talking about it. I was talking about it, and I was thinking, uh, this is it's transcended. Honest to God, like it's people say this stuff is life changing, but it's really transcended like how I work. Honestly, a lot about my life in general because I use it for business, but it also can stem into like my personal situation of like logging. Um, like I have like a list of like 250 things, like a timeline of things that have happened to me like over my life. Like I could even like, I can interact with personal documentation, personal email, personal context the same way that I could with business. It's just business is, a little more straightforward in a lot of different ways. So it's just connected to my entire life. And I think this is the future for everyone. I think we're a little early right now with the way in which you kind of have to do it in certain ways. There's a million fucking products um, that people are building to solve all sorts of different solutions. And, there's a lot of things I want to talk about today. One of them is like just overwhelm. I'm pretty much past the overwhelm because like I do my best to not succumb to that anymore. But there's a lot of people out there that I know, they're just like, there's different camps, and I'll try to articulate it a little bit in this video. I wish I had a drawing pad. I never bought one to kind of draw on the screen, but um, I might try to like articulate it. Maybe I'll even articulate it with Claude here and see what it gives us. But basically, like there's different archetypes of people, and I'm just trying to put it together in my head so you guys understand what's going on, and then ultimately, realistically, this is going to be like a little philosophical and kind of like human behavior stuff today. But as you can see by the title, my main thesis is like, do you actually think you're better than AI? And that's obviously a little clickbaity and a little too on the nose, but I'd like to dive into the nuance and think about it. But I'm not trying to convince anybody with any of this. I'm trying to just like give you my current perspective on it based on my actual lived experience, because I was driving home from a ball hockey game last night and I turned on my phone to do a voice recording of this, and I spoke for like 15 minutes, and then I tried to synthesize it afterwards. And I was like, this could be really good to kind of just put out into the world and kind of see, what people think. But ultimately, like I'm pretty convinced of this. And I think that I'm definitely not the only one, but I'm pretty early to this. And I think that the world has changed and a lot of people are kind of against it. Which you're free to do whatever you want. I don't really think that it's not what I'm gonna do, because I don't think it's the best for me, for my family, for my furthering my career, even for my happiness in a lot of ways, because I just didn't enjoy what I was doing before, and the way that I was working before. So we can just dive into it. If you have questions, obviously this is in questions and your thoughts, please put them in the chat as we go. If you have other questions too, like we could talk about that. I don't think this is going to take the full amount of time. It could, but if you have specific things, I can, I'll star them and we'll hit them. When we come back around here, because we could try some different things, or I can give you some more technical stuff. But I wanted to make a quick stream today about this. So I've had many instances so far, because if you don't know kind of like where I came from, like I came from largely like a WordPress community, and God bless WordPress community. I say it all the time. It's afforded me a lot of things, but ultimately there's a lot of people there that have been around literally technology for 20 years, which makes them at least probably at the absolute youngest 35. that obviously not all of them, but like a lot of them, like those types that have been there for a long time and have watched the internet grow up, watched CMSs grow up, watched all these other competitors come in. They're at least 35, 40, 45, 50 years old. And I'm not ageist, okay, but I am an observer of how people act over time. And a lot of them are kind of stuck in their ways in that regard. And that's kind of one of the archetypes. Again, I'm articulating this as we go. Maybe there'd be some visual aids. I'm not going to promise that though. Maybe I'll make a specific video or something on that. But there's one archetype that's this older technologist that, again, I come from the WordPress thing, so that's just the one area of it. But I talk to these people, and whether they're in WordPress, around WordPress, building websites, etc., that's like what they know. It's what they've come up with, what they've done, and they've had to work their fingers to the bone on, creating SEO content or creating websites in whatever WordPress page builder there is, or custom coding, custom themes, or what have you. And not too many people that talk about it. The reason I talk about this so much is not too many people that talk about AI on YouTube. They don't have that same experience as I do, so it's a little bit of a differentiator. A lot of them come from like other areas of sales, technology, or business, or maybe they weren't even in that at all, and now they're just doing AI. Like I have actual real world experience doing this shit manually, right? And I don't have 20 years of experience like a lot of those people do, but I have this perfectly positioned, maybe like 5 to 7 years of understanding how things work, having to do it manually, having to watch YouTube videos and then go do the work and try to figure shit out and make mistakes and all that. And I think that's really vital, and I'll come back to that. And while we're here, let me tell you about the last archetype, which is the brand new person, maybe 18-year-old, 15, 18, 20. It doesn't matter how old you are, but like you don't have that actual experience and you're just now getting into technology with AI, and you think that you can do everything with AI without understanding everything. I think there's a little bit of a problem there, but the reality of the situation is that is not going away. That's going to continue to happen. Like I got asked a question the other day, how am I going to parent now that I have a 3-month-old? How am I going to parent with AI? Like assuming AI continues to get really good, even better, and it becomes like the norm and more people start to adopt it. How am I going to, when my kid's like, 5, 10, 15 years old, how am I going to tell him to like and teach him stuff? It's like, well, I still think you should do some things, like you should understand how things work, and some things maybe you still have to do manually. I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know the answer to this question yet, but I don't think that you need to do it as much. Like I don't think you need to do as much manual labor because some of again, there's ridiculous examples that you could bring up. It's like, oh well, do you need to know how to ride a horse anymore? No, you just drive a car, right? So there's levels to this, and I feel like we're in the transitionary period where some people take transition and change better than others, and I think that I'm one of those people. But I do think I'm perfectly positioned. I'm 30 years old. I've been doing this for a little bit, and I got tired of it. I got tired of a lot of the manual, repetitive stuff, and instead of hiring people, I decided to hire AI. And I think that is the spot that like is absolutely ideal to be in, and obviously not everyone's in that spot, so I'm empathetic to that. But it doesn't change the reality of the world. So I don't know what else to say. Those are the archetypes. Now, the way that I structure this stream, and again, a little clickbaity or whatever, is do you actually think you're better than AI? I have literally people that tell me to my face that they are, human first, like agencies or consultancies or whatever they call themselves, and they don't use AI for any of the writing that they do, any of the synthesis that they do, any of the whatever the hell they're doing. And I don't want to, obviously the thumbnail says it's an ego thing. That was an AI generated thumbnail that I tried to put together as I was having an appointment upstairs, literally with my son and my wife, and like a developmental person for like baby stuff. So like and earlier this morning before all that. That's why the stream was a couple minutes late. So like that's not perfectly indicative. It's more clickbaity, but I do actually think there's a hint of truth there. And I think that it's not like an egotistical, arrogant thing that I sniff out when I hear that, but that is where my mind initially goes. It's like you have a tool in front of you that objectively can do a lot of this stuff. And it's not like it's, some people say that AI ends up becoming the average because it's just probabilistic. It's like, yeah, if you don't like know how to use it. Like if you don't train it on your context or give it enough context or steer it well enough, when we first started with all this, we got a lot of pushback, just in general, about like, oh, like AI is a tool, and for some reason there's like, it's like AI is a hammer, and for some reason people didn't think that like people assumed that everyone was use the tool the exact same way and to the exact same effectiveness. I'm not sure why we thought that or why I heard that and why I like didn't fully like immediately push back on that, but like I think I like agreed with it at first. It makes no sense. Like every single tool in the world, there are people that are good at using it and bad at using it. You give you give like a random person who's never swung a hammer, and it's probably not going to look well. They're probably going to miss the nail. They're probably going to bend the nail, whatever. You give whatever the hell that guy's name is that I fucking see sometimes on on reels and stuff. I don't know how it pops up, but the guy that builds shit and is like an older time video. You probably know what I'm talking about, but older time video, and the guy's like building like houses by like hand and stuff before even like nail guns are a real big thing. I don't know why this shit pops up my feed, but like he's literally nailing with a hammer, like one shot. I can't do that. I'm like intermediate with a hammer. I'm making it, like a analogy here, but it's the same thing with using LLMs, with using agents, with all this stuff. Like it's a skill. Like it is a skill. No pun intended with the skill thing. I will admit that once you start getting a little bit of a hang of it, it becomes a little weird because you think like, wow, this is actually really not hard at all. Like this seems almost too easy at times because you don't have to do the work. It's a weird skill to have because the skill is orchestration. The skill is understanding composition and how systems work and all that type of thing. And it's very counterintuitive to how we've been taught to this point in technology. Like, oh, you got to understand where every semicolon goes. You got to understand what every function does. You got to understand all this stuff. And that is so different than what like the actual experience that I've been having for the last 6 months now has been. And it's going to piss a lot of people off because we're in this transitionary period where I'm again not saying that none of that matters anymore because it's still a thing that drives a lot of it, but it's very different now. And it's like in a lot of ways I feel like I'm closer to the solution because the layers of actual abstraction have dissolved. I'm not in WordPress anymore. And just to be clear on that, like I literally have like 6 WordPress websites that are client websites still. I've moved everything else to Cloudflare pages, or if it's a web app, I use the Vercel stack. It's on my website. You can see the blueprints of what I use, and I have moved all of my stuff to static, and it's the right way to go. I mean, it's objectively the right way to go. You can have different opinions, that's fine, but for me, it's objectively the right way to go. I build websites that should be static. They're content-based websites a lot of the time. When I build web apps, that's not a static thing. That needs a database. That needs like more of a framework, things, along those lines. It could have a bunch more stuff going on it. Then there's the Vercel stack for that with Next.js. And like Supabase or something. And if I build other things, then it probably needs other stuff. Like the internal workflows, a lot of that is scripting like Python and things like that. And I don't read any of that code. I don't look at it. The main thing that I look at now a lot is markdown files in certain cases, to understand the context, understand how it's being structured and a lot of that. So yeah, I don't want to get too technical off track right now. I want to kind of, land this plane, so to speak, with the rest of this. But I just have people that I talk to and I have meetings with and all this other stuff, and they genuinely say that they don't use AI, and they literally say it in like it's a selling point and like it's a flex. And I'm not telling people how to run their business. That's not necessarily what I'm trying to do here. I'm really trying to do my best moving forward now to not really try to convince people, because I don't really need to, because like I think this is people are naturally going to get this over time. And I'm not saying that like I can tell the future. I just feel like it's so unbelievably. There's a really great line that I've heard multiple times now on Reels where I'm going to butcher it, but somebody's talking about it. I'm sure it's in a different context, but it applies here. It's like once you've been awoken, which is a little dramatic for this, but like once you've seen something essentially and you understand something, your job isn't to convince people that your way is right. Your job is to just have an environment and talk about how it's working for you. And then if they want to come over, if they want to come into that, be welcoming. But it's not like get the fuck in the circle, like we're talking about this, and and this is how it should be. Maybe you sell less stuff if you don't force people to do it, but that's not really the business that I'm in right now. So I'm just trying to create the environment in Modern Builder Society, on YouTube, etc., to whatever I can, because there's other people doing this as well. And we all have our different like takes and spins on it, and like kind of what we're doing with it, and especially our past lived experience, like I talked about earlier with the website stuff. So a lot of this stuff I feel like is starting to resonate now, finally, with a lot of people in the WordPress community and beyond, or whatever. Maybe the people that were more like me in the last several years. But ultimately, I'll say it again. It's I can't fully resonate with this idea. And again, maybe it's a me thing, but you can give me your thoughts. I don't feel like I'm better than AI. I don't feel like I'm faster at writing code. Okay. I don't feel like I write better code. I don't feel like the websites that I create are inherently any better. I don't feel like the things that I design are any better. I don't feel like the the I don't feel like I can search the internet faster than AI. I don't think that I can read a bunch of 1,500 proposals and tell you the patterns in there, so I can build a system for a client better than AI. Um, I don't know what it is. It's this is such a a, a psychological topic here. I don't know how. I don't know how people hold that opinion. But and if you guys hold that opinion, maybe you can dissect it for me. But I don't hold that opinion. I don't hold the opinion that I'm better than AI. It sounds like a lot of people do hold that opinion, and or they just have some sort of innate bias towards it, or maybe they have a heavy bias towards like human labor. And I'm not anti-human. I just don't. I have a. It's like, again, it's literally like I have a screwdriver and a drill sitting next to me here, and I need to screw in a screw. Now, again, certain times, I guess you could call like you should still use maybe a screwdriver in certain cases, right? But a lot of times I'm going to reach for the drill because it's a faster tool. It's a more efficient tool to get the job done. So if we change that to like, oversimplified human labor and AI labor, I just feel like a lot of times, especially in it's not even really a great decision, because in a lot of ways, like, or it's not even a great comparison, because in a lot of ways, like, AI can just like do so much more of it than it's not fully fair, because I use a screwdriver to do small things, but like obviously sometimes you're gonna get a drill. It doesn't really matter. But the point is that I don't know. I just I use it so heavily now. I'm in Claude Code literally constantly. And my entire ethos of my business and my entire ethos of my a lot of my personal pieces are in here as well. And I know you can't see it, but I mean, I'll show you what it looks like every day if you haven't seen it yet. This is where I operate. Now, again, this is video, or this topic, or whatever. Let's like the point of it, the nuance is not like, should you be here? Not what I'm saying. I don't think this is going to persist. I don't think we're going to be in here forever. I don't think, like, I wouldn't tell everyone necessarily to jump into Claude Code and do this. I should do that. I should give some people the opportunity to do this, because this is one way to do it. And it's really not that hard. It's really inexpensive. And it is really effective, but it does have its limitations. A lot of it is, one, this is scary. Two, like, there's this idea of like, bringing your team into the fold, and handling that, and like sharing context and sharing all sorts of stuff. So there is some constraints that I would like to fix, but also I don't have a lot of those problems. So it's tough for me to like fix them without having a reason to fix them. But I will have more reasons to fix them. Like, I don't have a team. I'm one person, and I handle all of this, and it's made me unbelievably effective. And it looks weird, right? Because you're like, what the fuck are we looking at here, Mark, if you've never seen this? But again, I'll explain it again. I should make a full video, a simplified video on this. I've been slacking on the actual educational micro content, so to speak, or focused content. But you have your connectors. These are all the things that you link out to, all the services that you're not going to bring like in and absorb, so to speak. So, your Googles, maybe your ClickUps, depending on what you need to use. Some of these things I don't really want to use, but I have to for like client reasons or whatever. Your storage areas, things like that. Those are connectors to things outside. You have your entities, which for you might be just one thing, or maybe it's two things. Maybe it's business and personal. I have a couple different things that are segmented out for me. So those are entities. Within these entities, you can see like context about your entity, right? So your business context, you could see things about your clients, which is really important. You want to have your client context stored in here because that's part of your business IP in a way. Very importantly, your client projects don't go in here. They go in another directory called projects, because you're deploying those. You're not deploying any of this stuff. This is just to help you like deal with the client information and do stuff moving forward. Intake is just kind of like a catch-all right now. I probably got to rethink that. Modules and pipelines, this is kind of my replacement for skills. I'm not saying it's better. It's like kind of a legacy thing that I had, but I don't use skills technically right now. But these are the same thing. These are things that I do all the time that I want to redo, and I don't want to have to explain the process every single time. So, ingesting a YouTube channel, if I'm gonna like do research on a YouTube channel, generate thumbnail template, generate AI template, and these are all like one-off things. Now, my thought process was these were like components or modules of a larger pipeline, so I could reuse those modules and like kind of reference them. And these are all the things that I do like all the time. So like, let me try to explain this to you. If at any moment, like the goal, the big value of what I'm doing here is if any moment I need to do any of these things, I can just kind of like say, just jump into a new chat and just like do them. Like it knows how to like chapter my live streams after that actually runs automatically afterwards. It can do the whole the production pipeline for FBP. Like it actually, I give it the video files, it edits the video. It doesn't edit it perfectly, but it edits, it makes all the cuts, goes back and forth on the video, stuff like that. It'll even, it has access to YouTube and Transistor. So after I render it, I tell it the file, it makes the MP3, it puts it everywhere it needs to. I showed off one last week. We could do it again if somebody wants to give me another, this is probably the most, if you're in the website game, this is probably the most impressive thing that I could show you. If you're in the chat and you give me a link, don't actually post the link. Like you got to put like a space or something in there. If you give me a link of a website, like maybe in your area that sucks ass, I will show you again the skill or the pipeline type thing that I have for prospect website builds. So it's like you take that website that sucks, and then you just literally give it the URL, and it'll go out, it'll do the research, it'll see it'll basically do what you would have done if you were like, imagine you just wanted to build a website. Forget the money for a second. Imagine you wanted to build a website for somebody that you look at something and it sucks ass. It'll go out, it'll do the research for that business. It will rebuild a new website and stand it up on, this is the way that I have it, stand it up like on GitHub, on Cloudflare. It's actually kind of annoying for me to run these fucking tests because it actually works so well that like I should just go out and tell these businesses like, hey, I built you a new website, to start the conversation. But again, these are the types of things that like have just being able to do these types of things. This is the thing. I want to get back to the psychology for a second. I'll do that. If you guys have an idea, I'll put it in there or whatever. I want to get back to the psychology. I did want to make this more about psychology, but we could talk about technical stuff too. But just think about this, okay? I want you to really think about this, depending on where you're at. If you are like me and you're fully in, and you're gonna understand this completely. But if you're not, okay, if you're on the fence, or if you're somebody that still drags and drops shit around in Elementor or Bricks or Etch or whatever, no shade at any of these platforms. I'm just saying, like, I don't know how to articulate this any better than this. If you've been building websites for this long, and now somebody shows you a skill like that, like I did last week, the last week one was really impressive. We could, like I said, we could do it again. if somebody shows you a skill that in 30 minutes you could have like a website that's not bullshit, okay? I'm not talking vibe coded trash looking bullshit, okay? Because we got to make that nuanced distinction that people don't make. You got to start rethinking your business. Like a lot of these questions and these thoughts that I have when it starts to get to like psychological level is really just like more or less we're having bad we're talking to like I don't want to say bad business owners, but we're talking to people that are like not business first minded. There's a level of like I tweeted about this the other day. It's like there's something that I need a word to describe my mindset, and I need to stick to it in business. It's not ruthless. I think that's a little too much. It's not emotionless. One of the words that I came up was like unsentimental. Some other people said realistic, pragmatic, etc. But like it's this concept of it's twofold. It's when you're dealing with clients and like not giving them like just deals for no reason and stuff like that. There's so many business owners that I've met over my years that like I actually like they're great people. Okay. There's nothing about their personality, but I look at them, I'm like, these are not really the people that I should be associating with if I want to be a good business owner. Like they might have maybe they've created a job, maybe they definitely have a skill. Like that's, and I put myself in this category here for a long time. And I'm finally just now starting to realize that like what I'm actually doing is I'm moving up the ladder of my business. I was the owner, operator, everything like that before. And now with AI, what I can do is I can move up and I can be more of the orchestrator where I don't have to do all the goddamn work, but I also don't have to hire people. And I'm not against hiring people. I'm just saying that for a lot of the work that I do, I literally don't have to. And I know that probably pisses people off, that scares people, et cetera, whatever, but I don't know what to tell you other than this is the reality that I'm living in. So if you don't live in the same reality, okay, but you can't like tell me that this isn't what I'm experiencing when I do it every day and it is working. So it's hard for me to have these types of conversations with some people because some people just like aren't open-minded enough to like understand that this is a real possibility. Instead, they say, I'm going to make a human first agency where I write literally all the words and everything and I don't use AI and I don't synthesize anything with AI and everything that I do is like for me and I get like I think that clients are going to care and I don't want clients to think that I don't like charging clients for things when AI did a lot of the work. And I just think that, candidly, I don't think clients give a fuck about that. I really don't. Like largely, I don't think they care. I think they care. Your standard client that a lot of people are building this stuff for is probably like a home service professional, or they have some sort of business that is outside the realm of marketing, right? Or outside the realm of technology generally. And they don't know how to use this stuff. They don't know how to use it well. They don't know how to operate as well as you. You have such an advantage when you're a technical person. I mean, it's unbelievable now that we're starting to realize this, and some people aren't. If you're technical in any stretch, even if you consider yourself non-technical, but you're in this space, you're probably more technical than the general person. Now you can enhance your ability literally at least tenfold. I would argue probably more like a lot of people are getting like 100x out of their input to output now because this stuff is just getting so good. And again, the big thing, it comes back to this, me using AI, especially in the system that I've created, and, Joe Schmo on the street using, Gemini or whatever, it'll get better. It's already got better, or Claude or ChatGPT. It'll get better. It'll continue to get better. But it's still a skill and it's still a whole thing of that. Like, there's going to be people that don't want to mess with it and don't want to understand it. And the fact that I literally see people taking a bat and smacking themselves directly in the knee, metaphorically, with their business and not wanting to use it is just honestly, it's like sad to me in a lot of ways. It's a bet they're making. It's a bet that people are going to still care about like some level of a human touch. And I don't entirely disagree with it, but at the same time, I don't I completely disagree with the generality of the premise that if you use AI, it's all slop. Like it's objectively false. Like I'm not even going to argue that anymore. It's objectively false. I've seen slop. I don't like slop either. But the idea that I am producing slop because I use AI, or anyone is producing slop because they use AI, is categorically false at this point. Maybe it was in the beginning because you couldn't steer it well enough and things like that. It's just continuing to get better. There's a lot of bullshit hype out there, and I try not to be that hype person because, quite frankly, I don't have the goddamn bandwidth or interest in like chasing every tool that comes out. Right? Apparently now Grokbot's the new damn thing. I'm not changing yet. I don't have a reason. Things aren't broken. Fable, I used it for 5 minutes. Okay, I use Opus. It's fine. It works. It works great. My thing is though, it's like there are these people out here. I don't know where this comes from, and I just wanted to make this as like the topic of today's stream because I don't think these people are inherently egotistical. I just think that they have some sort of innate bias or some sort of like there's something about the personality that they don't want to embrace it, and that's fine. I mean, if it's a change thing, if it's like a weird, a thing about like how it's all come to be, or not understanding it, or just like loving human labor. I don't know what it is, or human creation. I get it all. I understand it, and I'm really empathetic to the people that feel like their entire skill set has been completely upended, and they feel like an emotional attachment to design, for instance. And then now it's like we don't design with AI. We don't do that. It's like, well, okay, well, great. Unfortunately, I think that a large swath of the entire world is going to be moving in that direction. I already know that a lot of corporations, like the big dogs, love this. And if the big dogs love this, then eventually they're going to force the consumer to love it in some way or another, right? Or they're going to force obviously it's been forced in a lot of ways, right? And I'm not saying I agree with all the implementations, okay? Again, this is a nuanced channel here, okay? But the fact that it's trending that way is a sign to me as a responsible business owner that I absolutely need to adopt it, understand it, learn it, utilize it as basically as much as possible if I want to continue to stay ahead. Now, I just so happen to enjoy the process as well. But I just think it's really interesting. I think it's really interesting because there's a lot of business owners, again, like I said earlier, that I've looked at. I'm like, I don't really know if they're the type of business owner that I necessarily want to be. Great at their craft, but and not everyone wants to grow the same way, right? There's this difference between like, do you just want to do your thing as like a kind of like a hobby or what have you? And I think this is part of the reason why I'm the type of person that I am. I had this skill of building websites. I learned Elementor and I could build a website, and that was awesome. Great. So then I was like, oh, okay, if I can build websites for myself, then I can start building websites for clients. I can take money from that. And that's, naturally how it goes. I think it's very different though. And I've said this before on multiple different occasions. I think it's very different to go from that to the difference of there's like two ways to start a business, at least, right? The first way is I have a skill, I'm going to monetize it. The other way is I see a business opportunity, I'm going to monetize it. The second way is very different than what I did and what I think 99% of the people that I know do. It's because you're actually starting from an operation, crafter perspective rather than a business owner. And if you're a business owner, your main goal is to make fucking money. And you really care a lot less generally about like how it happens because you're not as emotionally attached to it. You should be ethical, but you're less emotionally attached to what's going on because you're not the one doing the fucking work, right? And I have just started to move towards that way. And I think it's for the best for my family, for my business, for everything that I do. It's not that I'm completely detached. It's not that I don't care about my clients. There's nuance here, okay? But I do care about my clients. I care about the outcomes. I'm representative of what I put together. I just don't think of it like literally as emotionally as so many people do, down to literally the semicolons in the syntax anymore. You know what I mean? And I don't know what that's going to ultimately lead to in general, but I think that the other real big point that I don't think I've said yet is literally this. It stems from the title. Like, do you actually think you're better than AI? The way that I would describe it is, for me, no, I don't. I said that earlier. I don't. But the other thing is, like, this is kind of like an interesting one. It's like there are people that believe, a lot of people, I'm not saying it's bad, but this is how I would articulate it. There are people that believe subconsciously or consciously. I mean, it manifests consciously, but I think it stems subconsciously. They believe that the things that they do are inherently novel or inherently special or inherently innovative for whatever reason. So what I mean is, like, if you're doing SEO content, there's no way, by the way, that I'm the first person saying this. I just don't know the big boy words for any of these methods or theses or anything. Okay, so tell me if this already exists and you know what it's called. Never once. I have always thought. I'll speak from my perspective. I have always thought that I do good work. I work hard and I do good work. I don't think I'm the only person working hard. I don't think I'm the only person that does good work. I don't think I'm even the best at both of those. I'm not working the absolute hardest in the world, and I'm not doing the absolute best work. I also never thought that I did things incredibly novel or incredibly innovative in pretty much anything I've done. I've certainly had maybe things here and there that people haven't said before, potentially, or haven't had thoughts of before. And I think that I've gotten consistently better over time at understanding composition and technology and business and all these other things. Never once, this is where the ego thing comes in. I'm confident. I'm very, very confident. I get more confident every day. Never once, though, have I thought that anything I do couldn't be recreated, right? And I don't, and I'm just losing the plot here a little bit when I talk to these people, and they literally, it seems like to me that they think their differentiator is something about what they do, and not the sum of what they do, or like the amount of effort or work that they put in, because those are two different angles to think about business and value exchange. Like, you could be the best, like, I don't know, I'm terrible at thinking these analogies on the spot, but you could be the hardest working lemonade stand in your city, but other people are also serving lemonade. Like, it's like you have some level of differentiator, but a lot of times it's literally just the sum of what you do. It's not the fact that your lemonade is actually that much better. It's maybe the way in which you're doing it, or how hard you're doing it, or how often you're doing it, or whatever. Like, it's not, it's like, this is just how business is. And the fact is that, like, it's funny because it's honestly, actually too, it's the marketing and the distribution. I totally left that part out. But the thing is, like, the fact is, it's so crazy that people still think that, like, the way in which they're actually working, whether it's human or AI or whatever, is the actual problem. Like, or is the actual thing and the reason that people buy. Maybe in some cases, but largely I don't really believe it is, because business owners, the more that I talk to them, they care so much less about how you actually do a lot of stuff. And I should have known this, because I was told this so many times. They care less about how you do things a lot of times. They care more about, are they going to make any goddamn money from what you're doing, especially in our industry, right? Or are they going to save any money? Maybe, right? And it's just crazy to me that people are indexing off of this belief that they think that everything needs to be human, when AI is not some facade. It's not crypto, okay? Crypto, this is hilarious. Like, the idea of, like, the crypto bro and everything like that. I was in crypto, okay? I did, like, mess around in there. And it's a legitimate technology, and it has, like, legitimate use case. But obviously it's been polluted by a bunch of BS over the years. And, obviously it's had a lot of turmoil and rug pulls and all this other stuff. This is not even that. Like, this is so much, like, people, because people equate it all the time. This is so much different. Like, this is actual economic value. Doesn't come without its problems, okay? The whole water bullshit and all this other stuff, like, and power and all this. I'm not saying it doesn't come without its problems, but just newsflash, I wasn't around for every single other big transition in life, but I'm pretty sure every other big transition in life had it. I remember vividly the internet, right, and social media. I had paper come to my house when I was in, like, grade school. It's like, hey, don't let your kid on MySpace. Okay. It's like, obviously there's pros and cons to everything. And maybe, like, but I would say that there has been some good that have come out of, like, the internet, some level of social media, a little bit less of social media because there's some BS there. But it, like, everybody is so black and white on this stuff. Like, it is like, use the good and get rid of the bad. Like, don't pay attention to any of the bad bullshit. Just use it. You know what I mean? Like, don't damn something just because of personal biases or what have you. But again, as I always say, do whatever you want. Do whatever the hell you want. I'm trying to tell you my journey on this and my perspective on it. And you're free to do whatever floats your boat. But that's the main thing, is that I think there's this level of novelty and innovation and such that people think that they're doing, when realistically there are tens, I mean, like, I'm not even gonna guess. I'll say at least, really, really generously low, at least 1,000 other people providing SEO services, for, I'm just using that as the example, that, that are doing the same shit you're doing. Like, they're doing the same thing, and those people are gonna start using the tools that exist in the world because they want to provide more value to their clients, be more economically, uh advanced, whatever. Like, I mean, like, just continue to do that. And it's just really interesting that's the thought process that a lot of people have. So, I've been talking for 40 minutes and I haven't looked at the chat once. So I see some chats over here. I appreciate all you guys. Let me go rip through some of these here. This is working. That's awesome. Good morning. Hey, speaking of crypto, it's a little monkey there, like that. WP for the win. I mean, it's an approach. Do you plan on doing deep dive live stream on your AIOS setup stack learnings? Yes. Yeah. I should honestly probably do it as a video, like I said. That's a great question. I have been absolutely shitting the bed on the content in my own self-critique opinion. Like, I love the live streams, love you guys. I try to do them every week, missed a couple weeks here and there. I think they're really good and I want to continue to do them. But the problem is, like, it's a live stream. YouTube hates live streams after the fact. Could do it all live. Probably better to do it as a video so it's more digestible. So I'm trying to also weigh that between, like, what I put on YouTube and what I put in Modern Builder Society. So I think that I'm starting to now get a strategy here, and I do think that I have a laundry list now of, like, digestible topics that I can make YouTube videos on, because again, I like the long form stuff. Obviously, some of the big dogs are doing, like, the 6-hour courses and everything like that. I could do that, or I could break it up a little bit. As you can tell, I'm normally pretty long-winded and I just keep kind of going with different thoughts as I roll. So I need to not do that in videos generally, because they need to be more specific. I feel like I need to tell you everything every time I talk about something. That's not really that good. So answer, long-winded answer. Yes, coming. Have you looked at X Connector AI workflow? It looks pretty compelling in the static sites that you can host anywhere. So you don't even need WordPress. I have not looked at that. I have full faith that it's going to be great because I trust Kevin and the team. And the static thing that's actually really compelling to me. Just so we're clear on this, I literally at this point, I do not believe, I'll say this completely straight up, even though other people won't say it. I have no problems with WordPress inherently, but I spent 2 years in the absolute depths of that, as you guys may or may not know. I tried to understand all the apparatus and everything around it, and I was literally on ground zero, where I feel like it was like the moment that WordPress started to actually, like, visibly kind of, like, that started to visibly shake a little bit, just like overall, not like the platform is bad, but like I was in the room when Matt Mullenweg did that whole thing about WP Engine. That was my first WordCamp. It was my first keynote, first event. And it just kind of, it signaled like, there's trouble in paradise. You know what I mean? And obviously we all know everything that's happened since then. So I don't wish bad about WordPress. I love the people of WordPress. Like I say this every time, because people, take stuff out of context, possibly. I'm not that big of a deal, but they will. I don't wish anything bad with WordPress. People are great. Everyone that I've met there, it's been awesome. It is unfortunate that I've kind of, like, lost some relationships with those people just because, like, I'm not really in that space anymore. WordCamp's coming up, et cetera. Like, I'd love to be there with the people, but I just can't justify the idea of going there. But to answer the question, like, kind of just wrap it on WordPress, there is, I don't like my stack works. Okay. And this is another thing I could do a whole nother live stream on. So I'll just save you it and I'll tease it here. When stuff works, you don't really need to find another solution. And I actually I was running into problems and running into headaches. Now what I do actually just works. It's just what I said earlier. It's like, I'm susceptible to the hype just like you guys are, but I don't let it affect me as much anymore. I literally don't watch a lot of YouTube videos anymore. I don't, like, listen to the BS that I see, like, on, life-changing stuff every 5 minutes on X or what have you. It's hard, but you got to be careful, okay? Because I know I'm not going to speak for you guys, but I'm going to maybe say something here that might help, okay? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe tell me to fuck off, whatever. If you're the type of person that just is consuming a lot, and I know this is weird coming from the guy on the YouTube TV box here, okay? But if you're the type of the person that's consuming a lot, right? If I'm being honest with you, you're better off not. Like, really, you're better off not. You're better off turning the shit off. Even if you turn the stream off after I say this, I won't be offended. But you're better off turning the shit off and going into Claude Code or whatever and just doing whatever the hell you feel like you need to do. Whatever you don't understand, whatever you have been wanting to try, you're better off trying it than at some point just diving in and dealing with it, because you're probably smart enough to figure it out, especially now with AI as an enhancement. You don't really need to like watch every YouTube video on a specific subject anymore. You don't need to do that. I do think there's reasons, and I think that, I'll plug Modern Builder Society and everyone else's community. That model is changing. It's more of like a camaraderie thing now, rather than like, this is where I get all my information. I don't believe it. I can't sell that. It's very hard. I'm literally telling you guys, it's very hard for me to sell that, because I know, I've seen it. I've been awoken. Like, the problem isn't like the knowledge anymore. That's not the constraint. I can get most of the knowledge. I'm not saying it's perfect. Okay. This shit does hallucinate sometimes, but largely, if you can articulate and you can provide the context, it can provide a good solution, or a good, at least like a couple variants of solutions. It can search, it can do like, instead of like looking for something on Stack Overflow, and having to like piece together like how this would work in my situation, it can just do it. It's inference. It understands everything. Everything. This is okay. I don't want to go super deep on this, but this is the other thing, is that this is go back to the novel thing. People feel like the fucking code that they've written is novel and it's never been written before. Look, I understand that. I understand the emotion and the passion you have for your craft, and I love you for that. But look, it's not true. Like, it has been written before. It maybe not been written exactly the same. All of this stuff is patterns. Like, there's so much patterns out there that exist. It's harder in the physical world, but in our digital world, for better or for worse, it is literally all indexed now. Largely, not all of it maybe, but largely it's indexed. How it got indexed, go, protest and cry about that forever. That's fine if you want to do that. I'm not going to do that. I made the decision that I don't care about that. This is what it is. Maybe it's not the most ethical thing in the world. They stole all this shit or whatever. I don't know. I can't do anything about it. So I have a strict policy. I don't worry about shit that I can't control. And it's in the past. So whatever. It is what it is. Shame on you. That sucks. I got to deal with it. Anyway, that's the situation as I see it. So if that's the case, if this exists and it's all been patterns and it's all kind of been done before, not all of it, but like there will be innovation, but a lot of that stuff has been done before. I'm not going to not utilize it. Right. And I know I'm off on a tangent now, but that's where I'm at. And I don't try to do that. I don't try to, like the overconsumption and everything like that. Like, if we're asking about different tools, I love those questions. I'll always give you my honest opinion on them, but I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I don't do that anymore because I don't feel like I need to. I don't feel like I need to be looking constantly for the next best thing, because what I've created now is solid. When I have problems, I will rectify them. But a lot of that is going to come from literally the ideas that I have and then spinning it via, again, like large language model and, either the knowledge base that it has, which is, whatever, wherever the knowledge cutoff is, but largely like I'm having it go out and find more information about the things that I'm trying to do. But I understand there's a lot of different variables there. There's comfortability in the system that you're in. There's level of, we're talking about etch initially there, right? So like the idea of like, best practices, yada, yada, drag and drop, like that whole, like there's so many different things there. It's impossible to give like an actual, like, I don't even call it a recommendation, but the long and short of it is like, that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of that. So why didn't you enjoy it out of interest? Could you go deep on that? And okay. I don't know what that was in reference to. Sorry. I get so lost in these things here. But apparently I answered that already. I'm going to answer this slightly in a different way though, because I don't think this is what you were asking, but real quick on this, because I didn't talk about this in the opening monologue, is whatever I didn't enjoy. Did I not enjoy? I don't know what I didn't enjoy, but I'm gonna make up a question here real quick. What I didn't enjoy though is I was never like a designer. Okay, this is important. because these are different, I would say, origination archetypes that I see, at least in the website side. Obviously, it's different for everyone, but in the website side, you're either a designer or you're a developer or you're like a business person or whatever. And we talked about a little bit about the dichotomy of like skill versus business, but the other thing is like specific skill. So these designers that flooded in, I've talked about this before. The designers that flooded in, they wanted to design and they didn't really care too much about dev because it's just not their personality. It's not what they're interested in, which is okay, fair. Like that's why these tools got created to create that. And then developers were completely opposite. And I would probably put myself definitely not a designer, but not truly a developer, probably more in like the business aspect of it, I guess, really, but probably I was deeply technical though. When you really look at it holistically. And that is the thing about that is like, I never enjoyed designing websites. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I just designed 2 websites for clients. I still don't even design it. I still don't even really love it even in the new flow that I have, which is unbelievably more efficient and easier than it was before. Like I don't have to drag anything around. I don't have to do anything. I just have to articulate it. The problem with anything visual is that you have to be really good with your process. And I'm just not, because like I let these people literally just keep changing shit. And that's a me problem, my business problem. I got to fix that. But my whole thing is like, that's part of the reason that I didn't enjoy that. And I don't really enjoy the visual part of it. I enjoy user experience and a little bit of UI tweaking, but I really love user experience of the stuff because I want to make sure that it's good for a lot of times like the users. But it's harder to do that with websites, honestly. It's way easier to do that with, I feel like websites, again, websites are patterns, okay? I mean, like we talk about best practices fucking until the end of time. And then we think, and then for some reason, some of us are still like, oh no, this is all completely novel. Like this is all, every single website we build is completely novel. It's like completely like completely starting from scratch, et cetera, et cetera. And I used to completely be like that. When I very first started websites, I was watching, I said this all the time, I was watching a Nerds World, Chris A. Hughes, God bless him, wherever he's at in the world now. Running from police in different countries or whatever the hell was going on last time I saw his new channel. But I was watching that and I was like, this guy is making, $3,000 pop or whatever on these templated websites in WordPress. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to make something like I want. But even me saying that, what did I do? I went out and looked at other, like, at the time, like, solo entrepreneurs or influencers or whatever that were like their personal brand sites. And I was like, oh, let me just look at Gary V's, Patrick McDavid, whoever the hell I was watching at the time. And I was like, let me just look at these and just make something that's me, but heavily influenced by the references that I gave it. That is literally the exact same thing now that I do with AI. Like, and it's such a better process, obviously. And I don't have to do most of the hard, stupid stuff that I didn't want to do. I guess the only thing that I could say here is that this is a tumultuous time, because if you do really love that stuff, if you love digging the holes and the art of all of that, then yeah, I could totally understand how this is shitty. I get it. Okay. But I would also say, and this is really going to hurt. Okay. And I have not thought about how to articulate this. So I'm going to say this very bluntly, and I might have to like change it. Okay. I might have to tweak it, but I'm going to say something that I really do believe in here, at least at this given moment. If you are that type of person, you may have been facading as like an actual like business owner in a way. I'm not saying you didn't have a successful business. I'm not saying you didn't make money. I'm just saying that like the business owner type person that I see, and there's many different forms. It's like, if you're an owner operator and you're in there and you're doing all that shit, like that is, you're doing an employee's job to some degree. At some point, that's an employee job. Now, whether that employee is a human or AI, that's, to be determined, and obviously literally transitioning in front of our eyes right now. But that is the case. So I understand it's difficult. I understand it's difficult to turn away from that. All I'm saying is that for me, again, I'll turn it back on myself. I was facading as a good business owner because I was doing all the goddamn work and I didn't want to hire anybody. Now I have hired AI to do a lot of that work, and it does it pretty well, depending on who you ask, and we've already talked about this. And I'm loving it because now I feel like more of a business owner. I feel like I can care more about sales. I feel like I can actually track my shit because I don't actually have to do a lot of the manual tracking of so much of this. Give me a second. I'm pulling this up. Like, I don't have to do a lot of the work where if you would have asked me 6 months ago, would I have had anything like this before? Would I have had any sort of mission control with all this sort of shit? Probably not. And I've tried in the past and I've had it before. Maybe you've had like some sort of project management system before. Maybe you've had some sort of sales pipeline system before. It's a pain in the ass to have to deal with all of that stuff manually while you're also the one digging the ditches. Maybe you're special and it's not hard for you to do any of that. And God bless you if that is, and still do it. But all I'm saying is that I wouldn't have had any of this. I wouldn't have tracked any of this. I wouldn't have thought about any of this. I wouldn't have had anything like this. This is the front end of the AIOS. This is the state of everything. If you haven't seen this before, I got to make a full video on this. Although I've shown this a lot, but I got to make a dedicated video on all this. But that's the situation. Right now, I know who I have in my deals pipeline. I know who I have in my follow-up pipeline, my companies, the contacts. Now, again, all this stuff did kind of exist. Let me make a quick caveat. Okay, all this stuff did kind of exist, right? But the difference is that these types of things, right? Like all of these different things were scattered throughout different places as well. There's going to be two worlds, and then I'll get back to the questions here. There's going to be two worlds just from a technical perspective here real quick, because this is, again, if you haven't seen this, then, maybe you're like, what the hell is this? Real quick, let me just go here for a second. There's going to be two worlds, I do believe. I'm of the camp, I only want to use the tools that I have to use. If I can build my own versions or small pieces of like tools that I don't have to pay for and don't have to use, I'm not going to use them. This is the exact reason why I'm super skeptical about creating some sort of a product, because you have to be like very niche and it's got to be something that somebody couldn't necessarily do, but the holistic nature of that product has to be like really valuable. It's very difficult right now, I feel like. It's just going to get harder. The other camp is, the one camp is to try to build things in as tightly as possible, custom to you, which is truthfully not as hard as you might think it is. You should have like a good way of articulating things and a good knowledge of different stuff, but the lift is not really that hard. The harder lift is like getting things to make sure that they work. If you're already in a technical field, you're already gonna have to maintain shit anyway. So it's like, yeah, I'm not afraid of maintaining my own stuff, whatever. The other camp though, and this is legitimate, but it's not the way that I like to work. But a lot of people will still continue to do this because they're not gonna have the time, energy, or care in the world to do what I did. The other camp is going to be use as much SaaS as you currently are. However, so you don't change anything. However, you connect to those things via like an agent. So you connect to like Notion, you connect to Senja, you connect to QuickBooks. Okay, all three of those things I have deleted. They do not exist in my ecosystem. If you use them, I'm not saying you shouldn't use them. I didn't use them to their fullest, so they got whacked. I have videos about how I did the QuickBooks one, and I don't know if I have a Senja one. I don't think I have a Senja one. And the Notion is basically all CSV and Markdown files. So my point is that I did that. I created that. I brought that in. You have to understand that, some stuff is not going to get replaced. A lot of infrastructure stuff is not going to get replaced, but all that. But like I just see all these people and they have all these goddamn SaaS products and they're paying for them and then they're configuring them manually and all this stuff. And I just like laugh now because I don't do any of that. And I feel bad for them. So I don't even know how we got on this topic at this point, but to answer it as I do, why didn't I enjoy all that? Because I felt like I was trying to start a business. When I started a business, I had that skill. I'm trying to scale a business. And I really didn't feel like hiring people. And now I can hire AI to do the things that I don't want to do. And I can be the business owner that orchestrates rather than, and you make an argument that I'm still not high enough. I haven't ascended high enough. I should maybe have somebody else orchestrating and I should do the business stuff, but I'm not there yet. And I have some other thoughts on that, but that's why. That's why I didn't enjoy those types of things. I'm not even sure if that was the original question, obviously. But that's why I've gotten to the place that I'm at with a lot of this stuff. John, what's up? With all the recent WordPress core security vulnerabilities, I just never built simple static websites on WordPress anymore. The only WooCommerce shops and website clients want to use. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair way to go. Somebody asked me about e-commerce. I think it was on the comments of the last stream. They said, how would you do e-commerce site with like a backend and all that sort of stuff with Astro? And I had to think about the question and kind of research a little bit, go back and forth with, you know, Claude Code and stuff. And it's like, yeah, you don't, let's maybe currently, as it currently stands, let me give you my current thoughts on this. If somebody comes to me, let's try to think of the website scenarios or like technology scenarios. Somebody comes to me like a plumber, roofer, any sort of service business, even, you know, like even a product business that doesn't need like e-commerce on the site. I'm going to tell you 100% of the time right now, this is what I'm going to use. I will give you this. And I don't know if, I don't know why I can't see the YouTube chat over here on the other side, but I'm going to give you this right here. Let me go right here, just in case we haven't talked about this. You go to my tools page, you go to blueprints. You can see exactly what I do. 100% of the time right now, this is what I'm using. Can I put this in here somewhere? See if this works. Oops. Let's see if this works. Copy this shit. Put this right here. I don't know if that's going to send. I don't know if that actually worked or not. Regardless, if you just go to my website, okay, marksemansky.co or just mjs.bio should get you somewhere close. Tools, blueprints, okay, marketing website. This is what I'm using 100% of the time right now. If somebody's building a thing, and this is okay. Let me make a micro point here, okay. If somebody shows you something like this, okay, this is a really, really good life skill moving forward. If somebody shows you like this, and you are of a certain mindset, your response is going to be, "Hey, Mark, do you have a video on how exactly you do this and how exactly you use this marketing website stack to build marketing websites?" My response could be, "That's a great idea. I'll make a video." But you are an individual, and I love you for following me and supporting me, but you're an individual and you have people to feed probably in your family, okay? And you should not wait for me to make this fucking video, okay? What you should do, and I'm giving you the green light, okay? Because I actually know somebody who I've like kind of watched my videos and consulted with. They literally made my whole fucking website. Like they took my website, they used HTT track or whatever open library you want to use, scraped the whole thing, and then they made their own like version basically of the website in their own thing, right? So they made their own website. Like it obviously didn't look exactly like mine, but I was flattered when that happened. Okay, you don't want to knock people's shit off completely, obviously, but I was flattered by the fact that they actually cared enough about they thought my stuff was nice enough that they wanted to make their own website with their own content or whatever. It didn't look exactly the same, but you could tell that it was very similar. My whole point is that that is the world we live in now, whether you like it or not. Do not fucking plagiarize or copyright infringe or whatever, or steal people's trademarks. You will get sued probably for that. Okay, I'm not saying to do that. What I am saying to do though is if you right now we're gonna type in this box, Mark, can you write a marketing website? Can you make a marketing website video for me? If you want to be what I would classify as the next level up, don't fucking do that. Like I'll make that video for you, okay? And for everyone else, all right? But don't do that. What you should do is you should go to your agent or whatever your preferred thing is, and you should say, you should take this link, or you could take a screenshot of it or whatever. I mean, there's a couple different ways, but I try to do it the easiest way possible. You should take this link and you should come over here and you should go like this, and you should come down here and you should go like this. You say, hey, with Whisperflow, and make sure you use the affiliate link in the description when you get Whisperflow. You should say, hey, I really like Mark's stuff. I appreciate the stuff that he's put out on the internet, et cetera, et cetera. I know that he builds websites, marketing websites like this with this stack on this page. Can you use HTT track or whatever to HT track, whatever the fuck it's called, to scrape this so you can see exactly how he uses this? Or use, Playwright to go take a screenshot or whatever it is. There's shit on this page that I need you to look at, okay? I want you to go look at this, and I want to start building, or I want to build a test website with this stack. So can you walk me through everything that we need to do in order to set all these different things up? Maybe you already have like Cloudflare or whatever, et cetera, whatever, but let me walk through that I want you to walk through that with me, and I want to try this, okay? Because Mark's a great guy, but this is all he's got so far. He doesn't have a video that I can walk through, so I need your help. Okay. And then you send that prompt off. Okay. And now you are self-sufficient. I gave you a little bit and you took it the rest of the way. You understand? So that's one small example. Okay. And I'm not saying, you know, if you never want to watch a video from me again, that's totally fine, you know, and you want to do everything yourself, because I wouldn't blame you, to be completely honest. But the rules have changed. Okay. The reality of the world has shifted heavily. You would not have been able to do that nearly as easy before, and now you can. And if I'm doing that shit every single day, I'm not going to tell you not to do that, because I'm not a piece of shit. Okay, I'm not like a slimy sales guy that says, "Oh, I'm the only one with all the information." I have a lot of information, and I could definitely help you, and we could definitely have some camaraderie in Modern Builder Society if you want to jump in there. But and we will navigate this together, because I'm navigating with you. But I'm not going to be the guy that tells you that you can't get that shit elsewhere. That's a pretty straightforward stack. Like, it's not. It's the value of this page is having it all like kind of in one spot, and like, you know, beautifully organized and everything like that, as far as like how I built it and whatever. But that's my spin on it. If we go back to the other bullshit, okay, I didn't write any of this. Like, I don't write any of the words or anything like that. But I do give. I'm one of user. I'm 0.1% of top users in Whisperflow. I've dictated almost like over 2 million words in the last like time that I've been using it, in the last, like, I don't know what it's been, like 5-6 months or something like that, however long it's been. So I do a lot of talking into my machine. Okay, a little bit of an aside, but my point is that I do a lot of prompting. When people tell you that they use AI, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. They must like literally just be like, do SEO and click enter. That's not at all what I do. Okay. And I've had a great experience with this shit, because I actually basically do all of the thinking and then have it do all of the actual execution a lot of times. Sometimes obviously it's making decisions on like how to do specific things. Like, I'm not telling it every function to write and exactly how to loop shit. That's not what I'm doing. But this stuff is patterns. It does the work. You just have to tell it what you want. You have to tell it your vision, and it happens. I'm not saying it's a one shot. I'm saying you go in that direction, right? So again, I know it was an aside, but that is part of the value here. And I'm giving it to you I'm giving you the fish, and I'm telling you how to fish. Okay. How to make more infinite fish here. All right. So that is literally what I would do as a small micro example of that started from how I would build those websites and how I build those websites to how I would actually take information that exists and is already, again, pretty well like combined here and segmented, and just be like, yeah, just go do it. Same thing for a web app. You need to make a web app for people. Okay. I'm not saying do this, tell your Claude agent, do it, and then boom, the web app's done. Not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is like, I want to build websites or web apps like Mark. Okay. Well, then go take this information, take it to your agent, and be like, hey, we already have some of these pieces in place. Maybe we don't use, VS Code. Maybe we just do it in Claude Code, et cetera, whatever. But here's the thing. Here's how I want to do it. I want to start like this. Tell me what we have to do. It's going to say, oh, we got to hook up Superbase. We got to hook up Vercel. Make sure you have accounts for all these different things. Do you have Cloudflare? Whatever. This is like the weirdest thing. It's like the weirdest thing now, that like becoming self-sufficient in the sense of you're not doing all the work, but you're doing all of the orchestration now. And like, this is why like orchestration is literally the skill. I don't know for how long. Maybe at some point we don't have any jobs, but if that doesn't happen, if this can do everything, all of it, then I'll just, maybe we got to go become plumbers or something like that. I'm not going to worry about that. Okay. That hasn't happened yet. I'll react to that when that needs to happen. But yeah, free game there. Do with it what you need. What's up, Mark? How we doing? Appreciate you being here, brother. Let's see what we got here. Hey, Mark, hope you're good. Long time follower. Wish I knew your entire setup. I'm just back from holiday and about to start my AIOS. I feel I need that. I mean, again, it's been, non-hype. It's been life-changing for me, completely work-changing. Obviously, this was a couple minutes ago here, so I appreciate that. That comment there. I'm trying to think of a way to re-engineer. I mean, honest to God, like, you could literally just like, okay. All right. Let me give you another one. Man, I'm giving away all the secret sauce here. Here's what I want you to do. Okay. Earlier in this video, I explained this to you, right? Earlier in this video, I explained this to you. I'm gonna, if you want to do this, okay, I'm gonna give you two options. I swear to God, I will make a video at some point that explains this. All right. I'm trying to think of how I want to package the thing to give it away to. It doesn't fucking matter. I should just give it away. It's right now it's a private GitHub repo, obviously, because it has all my stuff in it. I'm thinking about taking the skeleton and put it somewhere. Okay. But look, I'm gonna give you another option. You can wait for that. All right. Take a screenshot of the fucking pic. Take a screenshot of the screen right now. Okay. Take a screenshot of it so you understand like kind of what's going on here. All right. And then you don't even need to describe this one. Go back, take this transcript, okay? Go in here. Here's what you do. Fuck, I'm giving away literally the entire secrets of the world here. Take a screenshot of this, all right? Go to your agent and then say something like this. Hey, listen, so Mark's a great guy. He's giving me all the secrets. He has this AIOS that's really cool. It's probably not the best in the world. There's probably other people that have done it before, but other people try to sell the shit and other people try to do all this stuff and yada, yada, whatever. I'm a technical person and I definitely wanted to serve my needs. So it probably doesn't need to be just like Mark's or just like anybody else's. But here's what I want you to do. I have this live stream that he just went through and he has some other content on his channel. I want you to use, there's a YouTube downloader. It's called YTDLP, I believe. I want you to go to his channel. It's at Mark J. Szymanski. Maybe give it the link. Maybe I'll give you the link or whatever. And I want you to look at his AIOS videos, probably his last 10 videos, and maybe his last 5 live streams. And I want you to synthesize all of that context of what he says about that AIOS, only those parts mainly. And then I want you to take this screenshot that I just gave you of his AIOS inside his AIOS directory. And I want you to think about, I want us to go back and forth about how I could build something like this, but more specific for my use case and my context and how I work and how I live. And then we can build our own thing. And we don't have to wait on him to make a video. We don't have to wait on him to make the skeleton. We don't have to wait on any of that bullshit. We can just make our own shit. And it'll be better because it'll be for us and it'll be custom. So that's what I'd like you to do. Guys, I want you to understand something here. Okay, there's, again, 2 things. If you did what I just did right there, and you don't even need to write that fucking prompt because you could just take all that information and then just bring it, and this is inception-y. I want you to understand something, that if you can do what I just did right there, you first of all, as of right now, you are literally in the I'm making this shit up, 0.5% of people in the entire fucking world, if you understand what I just did right there. You understand how like all of like information is at an all-time high at the same moment that now inference can do things that we've never thought possible. It can do things for you. It can literally do work for you. It can use web, like functional web tools to go find more shit for you. It can use open source software to then manually do certain coding projects for you. That YTDLP thing. I took that and I downloaded my entire channel context with that. All of the transcripts from everything in my all the videos in my entire channel history to understand my voice better and things like that, like the way that I talk and stuff. There is no way that at this point you could tell me that what I just described there is not a skill. Again, that's a pun, but that right there is orchestration. That is the entire game. It's the entire game right now. I didn't make this shit up either. Like I didn't make this up. I'm not telling you something I'm selling you. I'm not telling you like that this is, I talk to people now that don't understand anything about what I just did there. That's simple. It looks so simple that they don't know anything about that. And I'm like, it's hard for me to talk to you now because you don't understand what's possible. And it's not like you're a bad person because of that, but you just don't understand what you can do now. And, I'll caveat that by saying like, and I'll go one step further. I'm not trying to be mean here, but like you also call yourself technical and you don't know that that's possible sometimes. Like you're in a technical industry, you call yourself like a technical professional and you don't realize that this is possible. This is a whole new thing. And it's just crazy that like, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to make so much less money because I tell people this shit. Like I really do believe that because like other people would not absolutely tell you that. They might realize it and then they're like, No, you still need to buy my AIOS because it's broken. Like, I got that question yesterday. I was like, am I gonna make one? I don't want to make products. I really don't. Especially now that I've been awoken with this, like I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna, and I'll caveat this because I don't think I said this right after that. You have another option. You do have another option to go buy shit still. Like you have an option to like buy somebody's stuff or like use a template or what have you. I just think that if you're completely non-technical and you're in a business and you have other responsibilities that are non-technical, yeah, you should really, honest to God, what you should probably do is you should probably pay somebody to make something custom. I still think that's still the number one thing because they can make it simpler. Like they can make it easier now. I'm having a hard time justifying generic ass shit anymore. I'm really having a hard time. I'm not saying everyone should build their own stuff because everyone's different. Everyone has different risk tolerance, different technical ability, whatever. But I am saying that I am having a very hard time justifying generic shit and SaaS or using that anymore, even if you're non-technical. Because if you came to me right now and you said, Mark, I want you to stand me up in AIOS, it's going to take some time to understand your business and get all that stuff in there. But the amount of time that you would have had to, time and energy and money that you would have had to spend on doing some of this shit before this, ungodly, like unbelievable. It wouldn't have worked. Like it couldn't have worked. Now it can work. So it's like, I just don't get it. You know what I mean? And the last thing on this, and then we'll go back to the chat, is all of the shit is like some of the stuff's becoming a commodity, right? Like inference literally is now starting to become a commodity. I said this months ago when I said the AIOS thing. Like inference is the actual commodity because it's so ubiquitous. Like you got the Chinese models, you got all this stuff. Like the cat's out of the bag on like public inference. Now, obviously, I still use the frontier models, but it does. But I mean, they vary, and I don't chase the best thing ever. But that is not. Again, that's not a secret anymore. Maybe we don't all know how it works, but like somebody does, right? Like I haven't really looked into it because I haven't cared that much, but it works and it's not a secret. So that's the commodity. Um, even like code and things like now, it's kind of becoming what is the thing that's not a commodity? And I'm gonna say it's still barely not a commodity. What is the thing that's not a commodity? In my ALS system, in my AIOS system, what's the thing that's not a commodity? It's the fucking heaps of context about my business, how I think, my operations, and all my client interactions. That's the only stuff in there that's not a commodity. That's not something that could be reproduced. I think, I mean, it literally could be duplicated, but it's like it's literally specific to me, my business, my clients, and what I'm doing in my life. I said this months ago, and nobody watched the video on the personal context system. Okay, I said this months ago. I finally feel like I actually I told you. But let me go to it. I said this months ago in this video right here. Watch these first videos. Okay, it was terribly packaged, so I don't I don't think. But this video right here, my entire life, terrible. I thought it was all right at the time, but why your AI outputs are trash and how to fix them. Not really a great thing. But that's like, I built that personal context system and I did it shitty at that time because I had like ChatGPT like interviewing me and then I moved it to a different thing or whatever. That is the part that you actually should care about. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a, AIOS or whatever, et cetera, but like that's the part that actually is going to set the thing apart and make it effective. It's not going to be the inference. It's not going to be the level of inference anymore. Yeah, I mean, it'll be a little bit better if you have like a better model rather than the shitty one. But like, if you have any level of inference, it's going to be better than no inference, obviously. And the gap there is so large because it's literally 0 to 1 that you need the context. I don't know how else to get this. And I don't know why I understood it so quickly. It's the whole fucking thing. It's the whole thing. We're dealing with probabilistic autocomplete still. And I don't really know what the next thing is. Maybe there will be an evolution in AI where it's not just glorified autocomplete. But I'll tell you what, the glorified autocomplete probabilistic shit is pretty fucking good when you give it enough to actually infer against. whether it's the code base that you're working in that's actually like, makes sense and you have a goal for it, or it's like your business problem that you're dealing with a proposal, et cetera, whatever that you're trying to get done. Guys, I'll tell you this again, I've said it 16 times today. I was thinking about a proposal yesterday. It's like, I am not the first person to propose somebody some sort of like consulting and service-based thing for $55,000. I'm not the first one. Okay. I don't know how to do it necessarily. And in the past, I could have done it. I could have tried to get 5 of those and like learned every single time, like rough learnings from that, or tried to find like a mentor that has done it before and try to like, whatever. Or now I could just like ask AI based on all the context, not just ask like, hey, how do I do this? But like give it all the context and be like, hey, can you like, via your knowledge and research and everything like that, can you kind of like go see if other people have done this? Because I know other people have done this before. And I'm not inherently special. I'm not like I'm not fucking, first footprint on the moon type shit with any of this. Okay. I just want to make money and provide value to people. Okay. Like many people have done before. And along the way, maybe we'll do some cool stuff that's special. But I don't know. Again, title of the stream. I don't know how people come up with this. I don't know how they've manifested this belief that they're literally doing shit that other people haven't done before. And maybe it's to feel special. Maybe it's to feel emotionally attached to the skills that they have and the outcomes. It's just not me. If that's what you want to do, then do your thing. But it's not me. I don't feel like that. I haven't felt like that. And I don't know. It's working out though. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, that was a long one. Where AI does do my head with how 1 week a tool is best for something, and yeah. And a day later a tool is more secure or better. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a great answer for this other than you just got to stop chasing it. There's so much unbelievable noise. So much unbelievable noise out there. It's just actually crazy. I'll say what I said earlier. If you're over consuming, if you have to do an honest self-awareness analysis on yourself, and if you feel like you're over consuming, you need to just stop consuming for a little bit. I've done that, truthfully. I'm still subscribed to people. Some people I'm not subscribed to just because like I can't continue to consume the stuff. I appreciate everyone for the work that they do, but there's a lot of, oh man, I'm going to say something to you guys that, yeah, let's just keep going. I'm going to say something to you guys that literally no other creator would ever say to you. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay. I love the idea, and I appreciate you guys for watching, subscribing, etc. I love that. That helps me. So, like the video, do all that stuff. Appreciate you. But if I'm being completely honest about my true character and what I would want for literally everyone in this world, is I don't want you all to be NPCs and like cult members of me or anybody else. Other people will not do that to you. And this is again why I'm probably going to lose money in the short term. Maybe in the long term I make more or something like that, or have more success or whatever. Maybe I'll have just more good fortune. But I'm gonna be sincere here. I don't want cult members or NPCs. Like it's really not what I want. Because I can't be true to myself, because I'm not that, and I'm never going to be that, and I don't want to be that. And I've fallen into that trap before. I'm like, I fucking hate this. Like, get me the fuck out of here. So I don't want that for you. And what I'm saying is that, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because there are a lot of people, like I see it all the time because I do watch the big dogs. The comments, the viewers, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are NPCs. They just fucking watch the shit and they never do anything and they don't work on stuff. I think for better or for worse, pros, cons to life, there's going to be that archetype of people. But that's not really what I would love to have for you or for me or anybody that I know. I don't think it's probably not possible for everyone to be a business owner and for everybody to be like a or even like a creator necessarily instead of a pure consumer or what have you. Or obviously it's a spectrum in there because like, again, nobody's like purely one or the other, I guess. But that's what I mean is like, I see all this stuff and I look at it through that lens and I'm thinking, you know what, like that's just rough. Like it's rough to see just people like, I know they're in the comments, and I'm not saying you have to become a YouTuber. That's not what I'm saying, but like they're in the comments, and you just know that like they're asking questions constantly, and they need that reassurance. They need that direction. But a lot of it now, I truly believe this is going to change. Like, don't go to AI psychosis level, okay? But like, you can get a lot of that via like really like AI now. Because again, if you're responsible, you're not asking some fucking random thing in the sky, okay? I mean, if you're religious, obviously, maybe you are asking, God. But I'm saying, like, in this context, like, you're not asking some random fucking black box of stuff here. You're asking the summation of human indexed intelligence. So, like, what are we talking about? Like, it was built by us with stuff that we came up with. Largely the knowledge that it's trained on. And then it's just regurgitating from that pattern, as well as searching. If you ask it to search, obviously, right? It's using web tools to go out and find actual information, and then synthesizing that for you. So, I know I take 15 minutes with each one of these questions, but that's what I'm feeling. That's what I feel a lot there. And to tie it back into the question, that idea of being somebody that just consumes and just watches things and just thinks, oh man, I gotta switch to Fable now because fucking whoever's told me to do it. Oh, they said the fucking Grok bot 4.6 is the best thing ever. I gotta change that right now. I gotta move to that right now. You will never get anything fucking done. The only chance you have at getting something done is if you have an AIOS or something like that is centralized. Okay, this is the one caveat I'm gonna make. I'm not selling my shit. I'm just saying in general. If you had an AIOS, okay, this is you need something like this more than ever, because if you have that, and honestly, it's in this format too in a way. I'm not saying it's the only way, but like just stay with me here for a second. Let me go to the screen just so I can quickly explain this. Let me go here. So look, let me just explain this real quick. I know I'm in Claude Code here right now, okay? But if you have this, it doesn't have to be like this, but again, these are just files, okay? So it's never gonna get any simpler than this. People are gonna try to abstract it, make it harder, make a product out of it. But ultimately, if you just have a fucking files, if you have files sitting on your computer with some goddamn context in markdown files that whatever LLM you point at it can read, okay? If you have that, you have to have this. This is why I'm so bullish on this, because at any moment, I can go over to Codex, I can open it up, and I can start inferring on this stuff. At any moment, I don't know if VS Code has a like a Grok extension or anything yet or whatever, but like at any moment, maybe it does. I don't know. Let's see. Is Grok? Okay. I don't know if it has an actual one, but let's just assume one of these would work. Okay. At any moment, I could install the Grok thing. Okay. Or I could go somewhere else. This is the most important point. Okay. And this is also why, like, side note, this is why I like API instead of API written code instead of MCP connections, because at any moment I just have access to everything. I can point the inference at what I'm looking at here. I'm not locked into Hermes. I'm not locked into OpenClaw. I'm not locked into whatever fucking Codex platform we're on or whatever. Maybe Codex is a little different, but like I'm not locked into whatever weird UI or app anybody wants. All of this stuff is completely changed. I haven't had to do it yet, okay? But if Anthropic pulls some bullshit at some point, I may have to go to like Codex, or I may have to go to Grok, or I may have to go to a Chinese model. I don't know. But this is the simplest I can make it. I know it's scary potentially, and it's hard to know, and I know I didn't make the video, but do what I said earlier. This is as simple as I can make this, because the inference is literally the commodity, and those companies are the people that could actually, like, they could fuck you if you lived in that realm. So we are really off topic of whatever the question was, but that's also really important that nobody talks about that. I haven't heard literally anybody say exactly what I just said there. That's extremely novel. Nobody's ever said that. I don't know. That's a joke. Me and efficiency. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, great questions there, Nick. I would just say, like I just said for the last 30 minutes, just, don't chase the tools. Do your best to not chase the tools. Get something that works. make it happen. Literally tell Claude exactly what I said earlier, make that whole thing happen, and I think it'll be great. Client wants to add AI to their website like a chatbot, missed call, text back automation extension. How would you approach it? I mean, I've never used Go high level, so I'm not gonna. And honestly, I don't know if you guys have seen the ads that they're running now. They're completely AI. Obvious, they're like obvious AI. I wonder like why they're doing that. I don't know if they're getting like more or less signups because of that, but it's kind of interesting. I mean, it depends on how you're building it. I guess maybe it's. I haven't done it, so I'd be talking a little bit out of my depth on like the chatbot situation. I've used AI in like I've used like the Anthropic API inside of apps before. I'm not sure if this would change if you're. It probably wouldn't have to change your stack necessarily, but I'm honestly not 100% sure how it would work because I don't know if that could probably be done in static still, but I've used it in more in the Next.js environment. So for in theory, it's not hard. Like it's literally like you're calling the API. So you're telling it, hey, I want to call the Claude API, I want to call the Anthropic API. Make sure you obviously have the API set up. Make sure you have the keys and everything in there. Make sure you have some money in the API thing. Tell as you're building it, orchestrate the connection there, so the API kind of works back and forth there. I'm assuming the chat thing is, again, I'm assuming it's easy because it's been done 5 billion times. So that's probably pretty straightforward back and forth. They might even have like, I don't know, SDKs or whatever the hell else to do that. I would imagine there's got to be a source of knowledge somewhere though. This is something that I'm going to have to deal with more, and it kind of aligns more into, I know we're talking about chatbots here, but like I'm thinking of this more as like siloed agentic experiences for clients to like edit websites. We talked about this in Modern Builder Society yesterday in our office hours. This concept of, the CMS and all this shit, like it's changed so heavily. And now I think that there's a real reality where it's not drag and drop and like change and click and type stuff. It's going to be, we could eventually see, and I think we should, clients just editing their stuff with an agentic experience where they didn't build it necessarily fully agentically. We set it up, we orchestrate that part, but then they can change things, agentically, rather than having to set up and go through all the hoops of the whatever else, right? The all of the hoops of like setting up visual builders in this new system, right? And it's a real pain. I don't know. That's a separate opinion. I just think that we shouldn't focus on visual building anymore. But it's really funny because as soon as we got to this point, people saw that as a gap, and then they built visual builders for this era of agentic coding. And it's like, guys, I appreciate your ingenuity and your forethought on, business product building, but I really don't think that's where we should be. Like if I was gonna become an activist and an advocate for something, I would not be advocating, and as you guys can tell, I would not be advocating for more CMSs and more visual builders at this stage of the game. I would be advocating for more agentic orchestration from us and from our clients. And side note, clients don't edit websites as much as you think probably, but it's still potentially a requirement. So I get it that it's a requirement. I just think that, and that's going to take even more time. Imagine the people that right, that are in technical spheres and they're not adopting it. We may never see that from the common consumer, but I'm not going to say never because it's probably just going to take like twice as long. So maybe in like 15 years, they'll be agentically orchestrating the changes to their shit. But yeah, so I know that was off topic there a little bit, but honestly, I don't know exactly how to handle that. It's probably just going to be, like API call, chat interface thing if you want that there, knowledge base somewhere so it doesn't like make random hallucinations. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it can absolutely be done. Probably not that difficultly with like from a custom perspective, and I would probably do it that way personally because I'm crazy. I probably wouldn't tack on like a go high level or anything like that because what I'm realizing now is a lot of this shit is just wrappers, and I'm just paying for a wrapper of convenience. And I'm already in a technical industry, and I'm already maintaining other shit. I'd rather just maintain more shit because I could make it better, more specific, more custom, and have this much more responsibility that I'm honestly going to delegate to my fucking clanker anyway. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts on that. Migrating Cloudflare Workers, which sounds like Cloudflare is preferring over Cloudflare Pages. Thoughts on that? Yeah, it's a good question. When you go into, I mean, a couple things. When you go into Cloudflare, like I did the very first time, when I was doing the Cloudflare Pages stuff, I think like right around that time, or maybe like the second thing about it, the second time or third time I did this a couple months ago, or a few months ago, actually, probably like 8 months ago now, very first time. But I went in there. It's a totally different experience. It's a real pain in the ass. Let me see if I can kind of show you here. Let me pull the thing up here. If you go, I know you can't see it yet. I gotta get in here. Cloudflare is definitely doing some vibe coded changes to their marketing side of their website too. Well, really the whole thing has gotten a big change. Let me see here. If I go to compute, workers and pages, create application. So this right here. Yeah, it definitely does you get the vibe that they're trying to like go to create a worker. I literally just press create, application. It's like worker. So immediately you're going to be like, oh, do I just do this? Which is, it's going to stick out at you. But then way down here at the bottom, looking for pages, get started. So I've been clicking that, you know what I mean? Like I've been clicking that and importing. I don't think it's a problem. You could probably do it both ways. I don't know what's going to happen with pages. I'm not at Cloudflare, so I'm not sure. The first time I did this, I didn't know as much, and I think my stuff wasn't as contextually aware when I was doing it. My agent wasn't, so I definitely did it this way like once or twice. And I do have workers. I want to be clear about this. I do have workers in my get up here, right? Like the mission control thing is a worker. It's not pages. I have some other workers, and there's a very specific reason that you would use one over the other. I'm sure you could just get away with just using workers, but I'm not going to move my stuff until they make me move my stuff. And I hope to God it's an easy experience whenever they do, if they do. But yeah, I don't know if that really answers the question. I think it's just a couple different things in the way that it deploys, and obviously workers can do more. Maybe I'll do a test with like a static website on a worker situation, but I don't know, just pisses me off because like it seems like a terrible transition out of it. It seems like it seems like a weird way where they could have just been like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make it. We're just gonna switch to workers, but I don't know. Cloudflare is a pretty cool company. I'd say right now in the technical space, like Cloudflare is the top dog. Just in general, because they give a lot of shit away for free to people that aren't making millions of dollars. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm pretty concerned about that, but also like consolidation, risk, but it's also not broken. And I'm not going to create problems that I don't have because I already have enough problems that I know that I have that I need to solve. So there's a life lesson for you. So yeah. Speaking so much truth, I appreciate that. Foo bar temp. Thank you so much. Sometimes I'm confused with your talks, like how much of your content is just you talking about just switching from using WordPress to making static sites with purely informational content. Using AI, I mean, there's no point in judging code quality for just static sites to me. I'm confused by your question. Spades. Yeah, I don't, there's no use in judging code quality for static sites. I think we're in agreement. Did we just become best friends? I think we're in agreement. I didn't really care about code quality before, but inherently, I think in the WordPress ecosystem, I did have to some degree because there's database, there's monolithic architecture. It's kind of a big fucking pain in the ass to make it fast. unless you buy whatever product that claims it makes it fast, but now you have another plugin, another subscription, and all this other shit that you didn't really need in general because you have like 10, even with like 9 plugins, you still have like think about that for a second. I've never said this like this, but let's just articulate this and maybe if you guys disagree. Even on a website, I have a website right now. When I moved to Bricks, it was, it's 2 years ago or whatever. When I moved to Bricks, I was able to make a website for the first time ever because I used Elementor before with like 9 plugins. Incredible feat at the time for me. And then the Bricks theme. But let's just think about this. Like, think about the level of, I know you're not using all of this stuff necessarily in a build, and it's maybe not all getting loaded or whatever, but just think about that. Like think about the amount of software that is in that stack. Again, maybe not getting loaded or whatever, but the amount of software that's in that stack. I'm using like fucking 1% of it for any given build. And I'm just like, I don't want that. That seems like more maintenance than I would need. There's more things that could go wrong. There's more failure points. And it's a website with information on it and images that doesn't change, like maybe once or twice a year. So again, I don't really know if we need to debate this anymore. I think it's an objective truth that this is how this has all gone. A static site is what a website was. It was HTML, CSS, JavaScript, whenever the hell, when it started. People thought that was hard to do, which objectively it took a little bit of time or whatever to make sites. Obviously, we all see old HTML sites. So then they're like, wait a second. Some business owner, some smart business owners, wait a second. We could make these easier. We can make this easier, right? Elementor, etc. came around and they're like, we can make this easier. Hang on a second. Hold up. I don't know what the constraint was when they made like Elementor or whatever, where it's like, why couldn't they just make Elementor like Etch, so to speak, where you were just dragging HTML lines around rather than whatever the fuck they decided to like wrap it in with widgets? I don't know what the constraint was. I would love to go back there. I wonder if that was actually not possible or whoever thought of that. I don't know what the deal was. Maybe it was literally just not feasible at the time. But I mean, it's crazy that we had that era of like widgets almost and stuff, and which also is not the right term because it was so widely used. But anyway, somebody came up with that idea to the drag and drop thing because people didn't want to like physically code. And now we have circled back all the way where AI can obviously at some point with some software and whatever go in that abstraction layer of the widgets and mess around with the widgets for sure. But it can also just go back down the ladder and it can just write the code. So if it can write the code, I'm going to let it write the code because I don't need the extra bullshit, is literally the way that I oversimplify that in my mind. And again, yeah, I'm with you. I don't judge code quality for static sites. So is what it is. I'm not sure what else we're confused about, but I'm happy to try. I don't have all the answers though, so I'm not going to promise that. If you insist on using SaaS, at least something like Hermes and Composio to have the agent config it all and run it. Yes. I mean, seriously. Yeah. Why are we clicking? I mean, if your favorite thing in the world is to click this mouse button and type on this keyboard, okay, which I mean, it's a nice keyboard. It's a nice keyboard. It's heavy. Keychron, go look at the tools page on my website and use the affiliate link. But if you want to do that, please by all means do that. But I'm not going to, so I'm with Brendan. I didn't even know you could do that, but I'm Composio. It's pretty sick. I'm gonna have to look into that. I got Claude set up my ASO. I know what you mean. Using your YouTube transcript for that. My man. Guy beat me to it. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Exactly. It warms my heart. Some people would get pissed off about that. Warms my heart. Non-hype and life-changing in the same sense. I feel you, Dave. It is though. Free game, my boy. Thank you. My biggest constraint right now is moving my PC workflow to my laptop phone so I can build while I'm traveling. Any seamless experiences out there? That's a great idea. I don't know if Brendan's... Is this related? You can open source bot frameworks like Botkit and integrate APIs from any AI. I think that's slightly not related, but yes, I should look into that as well. Brendan is the tool guy, by the way. Knows every single tool. If you want to talk every single tool, I don't know how Brendan has the time to look at every single tool, but my man knows every fucking tool. It's impressive. He's my go-to. You should go subscribe to his channel if you're not already. For this one here, I'll tell you how I do it. I actually, real cool thing, actually development in this front. So I'm gonna talk about this again. So right here, notice something about this. If you work in VS Code, you don't have to work in VS Code. You could work in like Claude Code, or I'm sure even like probably Codex has this now, but I'm not going to speak to it because I don't do it. But like, I'll just tell you this, that there's a setting in either the Claude Code desktop app or VS Code, but I'll tell you exactly how I do it. Because I mean, the way that I do it, I can do exactly what you said there about going to the laptop or the phone. It's not a perfect like one-to-one experience, but like on the phone, like I don't love, you know what I mean? Like I don't have to have the same thing on my phone. I'm a little lax in that, but this is what I do. So on here, without exposing any like sensitive information, okay, I want you to tell me how you believe that I use Claude Code on my desktop here, my laptop, and my phone to work on like the same thread, the same project. Okay, I think you know the answer. If you don't, I'll steer you in the right direction or whatever, but I think you know the answer. So just tell me like how I use it on all three. We'll see what it does. But I'm going to tell you while it tries to figure that out. What I do here is obviously this is VS Code, Claude Code extension. There's a new feature that didn't work before, and it's called remote control worked, but remote control for all sessions didn't work. Like literally this looked like this last update. And I don't know if it was a VS Code thing or Claude Code thing or whatever, but this didn't work before. But now what happens is every single time I opened a chat, I would have to like click remote control if I wanted to do it. But now you see how it does that? It automatically remote controls. You can turn that on or off. Sometimes you maybe don't want to, but what that does is that sends this shit up to like the cloud more. So like it actually, you may not want that. Maybe you want all the stuff to just stay on your machine, like the actual history and everything like that. It still does. But it kind of, from what I understand, it kind of like duplicates it up to the cloud. So then you can go to the Claude Code desktop app or your phone and you can do that. So if you have one main machine, which I currently do right now, everything's on my machine, but it is all backed up to GitHub, backed up to Backblaze. Everything is backed up there. I don't have, it stays on right now. I don't have the, I didn't put like the actual stuff on like a VPS or anything like that. I just haven't had the need for that yet. Maybe we'll play with around with that at some point, but let's see what this says. It's one machine, 3 windows, not copies of your work. Desktop is the only place where it actually exists. Yes, all stuff's in here, etc. Your laptop is a thin client on the desktop. It's not a second workspace. So it's so what I do on my desktop or my laptop, just to make it a similar experience, is I have a VS Code remote SSH section or SSH session type thing. So I open VS Code, and then down here on the left-hand side, it'll have like, it's technically a remote window, and it remotes directly into my AIOS folder on this machine. So this is always running, and then you think of it like when I open a new window over there, it just kind of looks like a new window with all these files here, and it writes directly back to it. It has it, set up so it's SSH into there. And that's just how I've been doing it, and it's working because it's same window. It's just kind of like, using that as like the, the client layer, so to speak, or whatever. Yeah, so that's how that's working on the laptop. I mean, again, though, if you don't care, you could just have one machine with this running, and you could just go on your laptop. You could go into the Claude Code, the Claude app, essentially. You could go to code, and you would see those things there. Because again, it's the same experience. It's just a different device right here with this situation. So this is on my phone, my Claude Code. This is literally the chat that we're looking at right here. So if I go on my phone and I say, with Whisperflow, what's up? Then it just, you see? So that's remote control. I didn't understand that for a while, and it's incredible. So yeah, but that's how I handle that. So I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know if that's exactly how you need it. Straight dictation. Yeah. So, but that's how I currently work it. There's other ways, obviously. You could do all of this from the Claude Code app if you don't care about like, this experience of an IDE, which again, I don't use most of the IDE features, but I still like this idea. I don't know how people freeball this type of work from like Discord and Telegram. I don't understand it. I don't want to say there's no way they're doing anything like client business value in that way, but it can't be like, you can't be building from there, right? I mean, I know you can physically do it. It's just, I don't get it. Like, I orchestrate from here. I understand what's going on. I'm opening these folders to kind of see like what we're writing and everything like that. I'm not looking at code, but I still like to see like what's happening because I need to understand the system to some degree. Oh boy. I've come to rage bait the chat. Obviously, I'm better than AI and I know best. I know best. This is the most absurd live stream I've seen in a long time, maybe ever. Maybe ever. Yeah. I feel that, big dog. Actual question. What stack would you suggest for vibe coding these days? I mean, it depends on what you're doing. Also, we don't vibe code around here. We just don't look at the code. We agentically engineer without looking at the syntax, which pisses people off. I'm trying to think specifically of what we've done together, Christian, in this context. I mean, if you're building websites, I mean, like just, like a standard website thing. I mean, I wouldn't, it depends on how deep you want to get. I don't know if I would tell everybody to open VS Code and Claude Code, like maybe, but, I mean, in your specific context, I would just tell you to tell Victor, just whip me up a website and see what the hell it does. That would be kind of interesting. But really, I mean, largely my marketing website stack is what I said earlier. It's on the, it's on the blueprints. I'd probably have to know more about where I'd really start if I was consulting would be like, what are you using currently? Right. And in your case, I kind of know, but like on other people, I would be like, what are you using currently? Is there any opportunity to make shit there and orchestrate stuff from that? How much of a pain in the ass would that be? Because again, like I'm making a joke with the Victor thing, but I'm wondering, like, I mean, you could definitely have it do some of that stuff. It's just like you'd have to connect it to those services, and then it would be able to push. I'm sure it'd be able to push to GitHub, push to deploy to Cloudflare pages or whatever. Not really sure where it's going to build the stuff. It's actually a good question. I don't know if we've talked about that. I don't know if Victor, as an example, has access to like your file system, but it's got to put it somewhere, right? So it's going to write it. It's going to push it. I mean, there's like, see, I make it sound simple. There's still a lot of things to consider though, because you want to make sure that you're still, obviously version controlling in GitHub, because you don't have to do that. You don't have to version control in GitHub. You could just drop it right into Cloudflare. Like, so technically you could have an agent that skips GitHub, puts it in Cloudflare. And then just every single time, because I had this happening, I think by accident with a specific part of this, I wasn't version controlling. I wasn't pushing from GitHub. I was pushing directly to the deployment, which works. But now I'm actually not sure of this. I don't think it stores your code. If you needed to get your code out of a previous deployment, it saves all the deployments. So maybe the code's there. Maybe you could pull it out. But my point is that I don't think that's kind of like the best practice by any means. So like if you wanted a static site up there, you should probably still version control it with an actual version controlling thing, which obviously people are starting to hate GitHub, but it's still working for me. So do I have a better stack? I mean, there's products out there that make building websites easier. Obviously the big ones, Replit, Lovable, etc. But I don't have any issues with mine, so I'm going to recommend mine. Dave's busting chops. I got you, dog. You can use Tailscale, Terminus. That's what I use for mobile building. Yeah, Tailscale. I've used that too. I was using that, for the Hermes style stuff. Yeah. Claude Code, on the phone. Netbird, haven't heard of that, but apparently it's great. Enable remote control for all sessions. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, you start to have a lot of sessions. If you have a lot of sessions up at the top, then you're gonna have a lot on your phone. But and I do think, again, that there's definitely, I haven't looked into it because I literally haven't opened the chat, like the Claude app on my computer for a while. But it's got to be sending that all up now, which again, if you care about your session history being up there, then maybe it's a concern. Also, another random thing real quick that I want to talk to you guys about, because I had this on my docket and for the office hours and we didn't talk about this, but maybe I should probably do a separate video stream on this, but I'm gonna tee it up here just because it's related to this. If you guys are dealing with people, and I have some thoughts, but this isn't fully spelled out yet. I can bring up some visual aids though. you know, we're getting to the point now where like I'm using AI for everything. Okay. So it's like, what are we going to do from a real world client perspective with talking about these things? Because I've already built, I'll tell you a quick story. I've told this before in Modern Builder Society and everything, but I'm building a website or I'm building a portal. Wait, throwback if you know me from the portal days. I'm building a portal for like an engineering company. And the first phase of it is sales. So like leads come into this portal from the website that I built that I need to rebuild because it's in WordPress. It's the second phase. But they come in from the website and they drop into this portal, which has just like a simple CRM thing. It's really just like a lead inbox and like a tracker. So it has that. All the information comes in. Then it moves to due diligence, or it does the due diligence on those leads. It grabs a bunch of information about these individual properties from, like basically open APIs on the internet about, like different counties and stuff like that. Drops all that information in so they don't have to do as much research. And then the next phase is like obviously the generation of the proposal. Found a lot of really cool things there. So they can tweak a bunch of things. It's kind of like a template, but it's like a logic based template. It's not like multiple templates. So if then type stuff, like stuff like that. A bunch of different like scopes that are all like in this library, so they don't have to like write anything independently. They can just like kind of select them, and it's going to be a little. There's going to be some AI built in all this. But anyway, I pitched this thing kind of more as like an AI platform, but I shouldn't have because there's like no AI in it. I'm just using AI heavily to do it. But this is where the concept is. You're gonna need some level of an AI policy here. Like you probably should have one if you don't already have one. I, admittedly haven't really had a formalized thing yet. And it's like, it's kind of like a lot of different areas. It's like not just how to use it, but like what are you doing with it? And mine's tough because I'm basically gonna say like, bitch, I use it for everything. And no data is safe unless you tell me otherwise, because I will make sure that like personal identifiable stuff doesn't go in. If anything, you tell me it's confidential or NDA, whatever, I won't do that. But what I've realized, or I've been led astray, okay? I've either realized this or I've been led astray by this. I did the research, and here's the deal. Originally, I thought that anything that I put into that box, that Claude Code box, was basically like, I mean, I guess you could still like assume this. Like you have to like assume it's like gone forever or whatever. And it's like it's on the internet kind of forever or whatever. But I don't feel like that. This is a personal thing. Like I don't have that innate like, thought in me to be like, oh, this is scary. I'm not going to put myself. I put my entire life basically like on it, and like in like largely on the internet. So it's different for me, but not everyone's like that. So when you deal with clients, it's like, okay, you gotta kind of be cognizant of this. And I'm not a lawyer. This isn't legal advice, but like you got to be cognizant of that. At least be transparent, right? If you're going to give all the data to Claude, like go through Claude servers or whatever, or the inference, then you need to say that. So I'm working on writing that up now in my policy, my terms or whatever, because I use it so much and I use it for so much synthesis of data that like it's not, I don't believe truly, I don't believe it's an issue and it's going to be an issue because what I've come to understand allegedly here is that when you push this through, it does the inference. It keeps the shit for maybe like 30 days. But if you have if you have the toggle turned off, the training toggle, like it's not going to train on your data, it's not going to keep it. It's not going to keep it. It's not going to train on it. So the first potential objection you can get is like, hey, are you going to train models on our data? Because I've gotten that before. And it's like, no, I don't give a fuck about your data inherently. I only wanted to use it to help you. Right. So I'm not going to keep, like, I'm not even going to like, I'm not going to train anything unless I'm not building an LLM. We're not building an LLM. That's not what this is for. So that's one thing. Allegedly, that's not how it works as long as you have the toggle off. The next thing though is like, okay, well, let's just think about this, right? Imagine you had, a folder full of like proposals and shit like that, that is, that has some information on it and just has like, how you bill and, not people's like personal information as far as like credit cards and shit, but like personal, maybe like property addresses, maybe like an email or phone number. Like obviously that shit is on the internet. So it's like, that's kind of like a, but you know, they didn't opt into like giving that, you know, it's like privacy policy, all that sort of stuff. So like, you got to be careful with that. If you run that shit through though, apparently there's like a lot of scrubbers and stuff like that. You can scrub a lot of that out. But if you run that shit through, like Claude, as I understand it, it doesn't save that information. It uses it, it infers on it, maybe keeps it for like 30-day retention or something like that, and then it gets rid of it. So at that, again, take all this with a grain of salt. At that point, with that being the situation, if we're making that assumption and we're trusting that that's how it works, the risk, the actual categorical risk, becomes the same as any other SaaS storage platform. Like if you put that same shit onto Google Drive, you are assuming the risk of Google Drive getting like leaked, like hacked and leaked, and that information getting leaked, right? Now, obviously, you should mitigate risk as much as possible. But also, that's not my fucking problem. Like I didn't do that. Like that didn't happen because of me. I didn't hack there. That's their fault. So I feel like as service providers, I don't know, not a lawyer. I'm going to work on this, but I feel like as service providers, if we just say like, "Hey, I'll help you try to fix things, but I'm not liable for this." Like I'm not storing your actual data on some server in my house and I'm not fully liable for this stuff. Like it's going through to help the synthesis, and if there's anything really, really specific that we need inference for that we definitely don't even want to take that risk, then okay, maybe we should look into local AI or some other sort of solution. But I don't know. It's just like, again, this is another one of those thoughts kind of from earlier from today, is like, I just also I don't think I'm smarter than AI. And I don't think that most of the stuff that like I have is inherently, I don't know. I have this radical view on privacy. Like obviously there are certain private things, but like largely it's just because I'm literally always on the internet and stuff like that, and my face is on here and stuff. Like I don't hold those beliefs as strongly as other people, and I don't do like bad shit. So like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's kind of like weird. But I don't know. My point is that like obviously you got to be careful with people's data. And you should probably try to cover your ass as much as possible with policies. So I'm, you know, currently working on a couple right now that I would say are absolutely not where they need to be yet, but these are the first kind of like pieces of it over on the Motive 11 side of things. And yeah, I think honestly, like right now, I think my goal or my thought process is going to be, well, actually, I'll show you this other one too if you've never seen this, but this is like a how I work page. This is on Mark Szymanski's side because I wanted this to be like, you know, show people how I work. Like if I have it my way, I'm going to put basically all the information through Claude, because the amount of help that it's given me to synthesize large data sets and things like that, and find patterns and just work has been unmatched. So I think that I'm going to have to, like basically be like, yeah, unless you tell me, like, I'm probably going to put this shit through AI because it's going to help me and help you. And the risk is objectively low. And if you want to make it even lower, then you could tell me not to do it, but I'm going to charge you more because it's going to take me more time and it's going to be a real pain in the ass. I might not even work with people that don't want me to do that, to be completely honest with you, just because like it's going to be a real nightmare. Like I just feel like the risks, there's a risk in it, literally everything. There's risk in walking outside. And I feel like the risk is generally really low, for, you know, most things. Obviously, you know, pick your fucking edge case of, you know, oh, I got a bunch of social security numbers that I need to infer on. Okay. Yeah. That's not a good idea, but I don't know. Just my thoughts. Hell yeah. Absolutely. Appreciate you. Appreciate the question. Let's check out Krayler's stuff here. For the average person who just needs messing with Claude Code and wants a website for their bakery or something, would you even be picky about the stack, or would you just advise let Claude decide? Oh, the actual stack? Oh, like, are we talking like the shit? Also, Victor can't do that. Sadly, I'd have to have it directly in Claude. Interesting. Didn't know that. That seems like a weird limitation. Can't even like orchestrate anything. Man, Victor sucks. No, I'm just kidding. Like the actual stack, I mean, I don't know, HTML and CSS and JavaScript, I guess. This is hilarious though. This concept is funny because this is true vibe coding. I feel like if we had to start making definitions for stuff, definitions of vibe coding are I don't know what my shit is built with. Not like I don't know what built it. I don't know what this I like people bitch when you say, "Oh, I didn't read the code." Well, at least I know what it's built with. At least I know it's Astro, you know what I mean? And I'm not criticizing people that, don't do that. If you don't want to do that, whatever, but what I'm saying is like if we're trying to decide on a definition and we say build me a website, because this is what clients do, right? This is literally what clients did. I made that video. My client said, "Hey, build me a website in Claude," and it just built it. And then he asked it, "I want to make it live," and he put it on Netlify, right? And then I didn't have a client anymore. So, but that person doesn't know how that website is built, like at all. Like not the syntax. They don't even know the actual language or the library or the framework. And I would argue that again, I don't really care. Like if you don't care and it's whatever, that's fine. But like if the actual question is like what stack, the problem is it's so easy. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you have to learn all of Astro to have it build in Astro. You could just have it do that. But at the same time though, this is interesting. This is an interesting thought experiment. I don't really know if it matters. Like, does it really matter right now if you were going to build a typical marketing website? Does it really matter if you have the clanker build it in Astro or in HTML and CSS? In some ways, honestly, it might even be easier and better to just build it in like vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Maybe. I don't know. I literally don't know. I haven't done any tests. I don't care, honestly. This is such a philosophical debate. We made frameworks and shit because we're lazy. Humans. We made it because we're lazy. We made it because we wanted to abstract and we wanted to do all these things. I'm not fully convinced, and maybe there's already probably data on this because I'm sure somebody gave a shit, but like I'm not fully convinced that it's like that. I could hypothesize probably one way or the other, but like you think, what is it harder or more token intense to do? Vanilla or Astro? And then like, is it going to use Astro the way that a human would use Astro? You know what I mean? Like, is it going to componentize things? I mean, humans obviously over componentize things because like if you follow like, I don't know, potential best practices or whatever, it's like you might make a component for something that doesn't actually need one and all this other shit, but like, because you might not use it again or whatever. But like, I've had it many times where like, I'm like, "Hey, should you made that a component?" And it's like, "Nah, bro, you're not using this anywhere else. I'm not making a fucking component." You know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of interesting. I don't know an answer to this question. I mean, I would say use my stack. Use the stack that I told you earlier and just run with that for a marketing website because I know it works. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, a marketing website, I feel like, well, the one thing I would say is I did this the other day. I said, "Hey, look at my stuff real quick. I just want to make sure that as I start doing more of this stuff with clients, I was like, let's talk about this real quick. Can you do some research and make sure, because I'm pretty confident that Astro is like probably one of the leading ways to build a content site now, right? A marketing site. Like, can you do some research and find out like if there's anything better, so to speak, or anything that like more people are using?" And again, I use the term better loosely because what the fuck does that actually mean? I mean, I would honestly argue in the context of LLMs and stuff, it's like which one is being used the most, because then you'd have the most patterns to pull from, good and bad. So, and it said Astro. And then it said on the other side, it's Next.js. This is why I told you, like, that stuff isn't novel. Those pages that I made, they're not novel. Those are stacks that a lot of people are using. Do they have them organized like that on a page for you to just like screenshot and then go tell your clanker to do? Probably not. They're probably behind a paywall or an email wall or something, or abstracted in some sort of course. But this is what I do. I'm a man of the people. Technically, for a simply say you could do, yeah. I wouldn't even use it, just vanilla. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely depends on what it is, but yeah, for sure. It's so good for content, versatile for complex stuff when needed. Yeah. Yep. Done a few times. Got curious the other day. Any basic website, Claude, Pros, Astro, and PHP for the submit. Yeah. Well, actually, real quick on this, and random other things. I thought PHP seemed old school, so you're gonna piss a lot of people off with that one. I could do Node.js instead. It said sure, pushback. Thought it was less efficient. I'm not a dev side. Real quick on the PHP thing. I did also look. One of the other reasons, is because I was looking into like Laravel, because I don't know, all cool kids like Laravel. I've never used it. Don't know about it. Did a little bit of research. I will try to recount what it said. Laravel seems like it's more like an all-in-one situation where it has like a lot of that shit kind of like built into the actual framework. Like some of that stuff. The way it described it to me was it was in terms of the web apps, and it was like, should I use web app? Should I use Laravel instead? It has like auth and things like that, kind of like first party-ish or built in. I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but my stack for like the Next.js and everything like that, it basically does the same thing, but it's like split up because it doesn't have its own, it has database over in Supabase, it has Next.js, whatever. So I don't know. I literally don't know the efficiencies or whatever of that. The one thing I would say is the Astro plus PHP for the submit is kind of interesting that you say that. The way, I think you mean for forms maybe, but the way that my thing handles this, or not my thing, but the stack that I use is Cloudflare, like serverless functions for that. So then it just like writes a little thing where it shoots it off to either the API that you have your like Postmark or what have you, whatever you're using for like SMTP, but technically it's API now. So it just shoots it off like that. So it's like, it's a static website, but that part of it is a little, just a little like, is it technically a worker function? I don't even know if it's technically a worker function, but let me go back here. Scroll to here. Cloudflare pages functions. Yeah. So they're just like serverless little, they only exist like when it runs, basically it just spins it up when it's time and it just shoots it off. This is why Cloudflare is like huge company, because I got every goddamn thing that you could possibly want, and then like Turnstile or whatever. So that's what I got. Yeah, Form Spree also, yeah. Rocket engine to a bike. Yeah, probably over. Yeah, React is overkill. Yeah. Vibe coded dashboard in the truest sense. No clue what it's built in. Database, user login, integrations, full Notion, MCP. Literally don't know how it functions. Send it, dude. Mark's content is tried to use that. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's what I do. And until everyone, this is a great place to kind of wrap on. It's what I do. And until everyone realizes that this is an option, I will still have a job. You know what I mean? The beauty of it, people will, not everyone will realize that, because as I said earlier, I don't think everyone's going to get to that level of like self autonomy and self belief that they will be able to figure it out, even with the help of AI. But I don't know. It's pretty much, I mean, I wish I could just make content all like constantly like that. Yeah. I mean, have you asked AI? I mean, it's kind of what I do. If I have a question, if I have a thought, I mean, a lot of the thoughts come from like my experience in the things that I'm working on, and then I go run it by there. I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of weird thing about me, like I said earlier, where like I just don't think that everything that I do is novel and incredibly innovative. I don't think business needs to be that way either. I've been told for a long time that it should just be boring. You know what I mean? It should just be boring, repetitive, just churn out value and everything. You don't need to be like crazy pizzazz, over the top, new best thing, shiny item, whatever the hell every time. You don't need to keep pushing the envelope. So I don't know. Yeah. Propagandizing people until everyone is propagandized, which will never happen. Full job security until they die. Yeah, man on the street content interviews public about it. Yeah, I bet you there's gonna be a lot of people that don't know shit about it. They're just kind of like going by the the seat of their pants with some of the stuff, and they're kind of like, I don't know. I think there's always going to be. I think if I was going to create a product, it would be for more of a consumer situation because they don't know what they're doing. You know, I mean, you could definitely. I don't actually know this. There's no way that I would build a product right now for other technical people. Zero chance. Zero chance. Because you have all this power, and if you could somehow distribute and market to a consumer right now that doesn't know shit about this, you could probably make something like relatively simple-ish. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people doing it, but like you could do it with an amount of taste that that doesn't look like AI shit and slop. The only other way I would do it is like, I don't know. Just wouldn't do it for technical people. After last week's live stream, Fable, converted 5 of my WordPress sites to Astro, still using Gravity Forms on the back end though. Freed up so many server resources. Bro, it's like I was paying $300 a month plus to Vulture. I'm getting that down to 0. Like it's unnecessary for what I'm doing. Again, we talk about this separately. We talked about it in Modern Builder Society yesterday. God bless the hosting companies, but they're going to be mad at me and at other people when they realize that like this is not necessary and other people figure this out. Like if Cloudflare is giving me free hosting for now, I'm going to take it. And even when they don't give me free hosting, or if somebody else doesn't give me free hosting for those types of websites, they don't need all this shit. They don't need all this stuff. They don't need all this power. It's not even a lot of power. They just, you don't need all of it. You don't need all of the overhead. I don't know. Anybody telling you still need all the overhead for static sites is like absolutely lying to you. And I'm not saying you can't use it. It does work. It's just now it's so much easier to do it. Now, I will leave you kind of with this thing. I haven't done a good enough job at this. I'm building it for myself, and I've only done it like, you know, a few times now for myself, for a couple other clients, and we're starting to ramp up now with more of this. There is a level of concern switching cost, so to speak, or an actual good objection or a good question. Mark, what do I do when I try to go from WordPress to static and now I have like I need to stand up websites? Like I know my process. First, I mean, I would caveat this with I don't think a lot of people actually had a strong WordPress process. They probably didn't have it written down because they just did it manually. And if you're anything like me, you just kind of did it off the top of your head and you didn't write it down. The silent huge perk of using AI, at least in the way that I do it, is there's no goddamn way that I would have written down all these processes before. And now I have literally like automatically because I explained what I wanted and I said, we're going to do this again, dog. Make sure you document it. And there it is. It's like you did it. You're doing it. You're building those websites, right? Like maybe like, you know, you change 5 websites from WordPress to Astro or whatever. And it's like, hey, listen, that was great. We did it a few times, right? You know, maybe typically a different way would be like, all right, let's do it once. All right, I'm gonna explain it to you. Okay, cool. Everything you just did, documented in a skill. Cool, got it. All right, let's do it again next week. Okay, we do it again next week. Okay, hey, that was good, but we had, you know, some edge cases this time. Boom, boom, boom. Make sure that you document those back in our skill, so the next time we run it, it's even better. Gotcha. Okay, third time. Boom, boom, boom. Up, couple things. Boom, boom, boom. Let's put that back in the skill. It's like that. And honestly, people talk a lot about like self-healing skills or self-learning or whatever. You could obviously make that happen a little bit more, but I'm just giving you a manual process because like I think realistically a lot of this shit is probably like more like manual and you're kind of steering it still right now. Obviously you could automate the shit out of like more of it, so to speak, but it's like it depends. So yeah, I just think that like there's so much like opportunity and so much power right now that we all have. And until more people realize, because I still am in, you know, some of the groups and stuff like that, and people are just like pessimistic and they have this opinion of AI and whatever. And I wouldn't treat it like God, but I mean, it is a literal opportunity that you have that you will not have this again. We won't be in this time period again of this transition where you can really get ahead with some of this stuff. and you can either teach other people or you can use it for your clients or what have you. It's a missed opportunity, I think, if you're not like actually diving in a little bit more and trying to centralize your context, create your SOPs and your processes via, skills or what have you. Use AI wherever you possibly can to actually get things done for you. Consolidate your stack of things that you're paying for. Start being realistic about like what you actually need as far as like websites go or providing for clients, etc. And obviously there's going to be hurdles and concerns and problems, but I'll tell you this: if you thought that business and life was not going to have problems, I think you were wrong, or you were being way too passive. I feel like you're going to have problems. Either going to be problems of scale, which I don't think a lot of people have had that problem. They were just like, oh, I don't have any problems because my business isn't growing at all. It's like, okay, well, I've been there, and that's not a fun place to be either. I'd rather have problems because I'm growing or because I'm changing or because I'm getting better, rather than being completely stagnant and being like, oh, this is great, but actually I have no money. You know what I mean? So that's where I've been, and I think that the idea that you're going to change and you're not going to have problems is wrong. The idea that you're going to change, you're not going to go through some things and some switching costs and whatever is crazy. But at the same time, the next big thing is, if you're switching to static sites and stuff like that, is literally just trying to make it more process oriented. And luckily it's way easier because you're orchestrating that process and it's documenting, and you can continue to make it better. So that's the one big thing I would say is don't switch over to static sites and think it's going to be a complete walk in the park. If you do work, you still have to like understand, help, provide value, all that sort of stuff. Just make sure that you're prioritizing the process, especially if you're letting the clanker do a lot of the work. You have to make sure that you're steering it appropriately and it's documenting what it does. So the next time it does a good one. You know what I mean? And Ruben is moving back to GeoCities. He's going to have his 16 Hermes agents build GeoCities sites. So I guess I'm going to have to look into that too. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Guys, this has been really fun. I think I'm going to go now because I'm getting blown up with notifications and shit. If you're interested, Modern Builder Society, links in the description. Jump in there, navigate this all with us. I do a lot of the actual work that I do. I try not to like dox my clients too heavily on the live stuff on YouTube and such, but I do more of that in there. I have a lot of good conversations, weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings on the office hours and such, discounts on consulting calls and all that jazz. So yeah, but more than anything, regardless of what you do, become more self-sufficient, ask AI more shit, do more critical thinking based off of the output that it gives you, and make sure that you're documenting or having it document all the things that you're doing. So yeah, a couple last ones here. Astro makes working with work trees so much easier. Yeah, I mean, it literally makes everything so much easier. Like on that front too. So yeah, 40 WordPress, 60 AI. I mean, very last thing I'll say here is, and I've said it sort of differently, but because we brought up the WordPress thing, obviously another option is to go get like Nova Mira or even like Hermes or whatever and use AI inside of WordPress. I just think that I am adding more complexity to something that I don't need to add it to. I would rather just write the goddamn code or have the AI write the goddamn code for these simpler websites, not have all of the monolithic legacy shit involved, not have all of the extra stuff that I'm dealing with, and then solve the other problems in a new way, in a somewhat newer way, because you're going to have problems. You're going to have problems of like, well, do I need a CMS? Like, do I need to do anything? Well, if you're an efficient orchestrator, you don't. My website doesn't have a CMS. I just tell Claude to change shit. The content is organized within the Astro Markdown, collection system and everything like that. But I don't have a CMS where I click around and do shit. I don't need it. Does your client though? Does your client need to edit layout, page content, or like collection, custom post type content? Well, maybe if the answer is yes to any of that, you need to have, first of all, you should not assume any of that anymore. You should literally try to like explain to them. Your one option is get them to agentically do it, like we talked about earlier, or you have to bolt something. You might have to bolt something on. And all I'm saying, okay, there are a lot of other options now that aren't WordPress that work well with Astro, WordPress works with Astro as well, but like there's a lot of other options that you still like you don't need the whole back end piece still. Like you don't need all of that that WordPress provides. Not telling you not to use it. I have one website that's headless WordPress. I've done a couple other experiments with some stuff too, where like you can do like ACF fields where it just kind of like automatically like spins it up. Like it's all orchestrated. You don't have to actually create anything yourself. It's really great. You don't even see it in the back end of like that, the ACF stuff or whatever. And honestly, I would just say like at the end of the day, like if you're dealing with a client that insists that they need to be messing with the website, the only other thing I would say is consultatively to them, ask them, is that really the best use of your time? Like, shouldn't you be running your goddamn business? Obviously, it changes at different scales of business, but I've been saying that for years though. And that's why I've literally never recommended I've never let anybody inside the page builder. Never had that problem. It's always been, at most, it's been custom post type style content, which is very, very achievable with WordPress or any other like Tiny or Tina CMS or Sveltia or whatever else. Like that's literally what those are built for. So yeah, that's all I got, guys. I appreciate you. Keep building cool shit. Keep trying stuff. Keep having your keep whipping your clankers. Keep working. So I'm gonna go do some stuff. I appreciate you guys. Try to do these every week still. Thank you for all the engagement and questions. They were fantastic. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. See ya.